The intention of justice is to see that the guilty people are proven guilty and that the innocent are freed. Only we have a problem here.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are taking a look at this case from a psychological perspective. Now our weekly Monday show with Loophole Lawyer. Welcome.
What an opening.
How are you?
Where in her body was he stabbing her?
The neck.
Brendan Banfield, a former IRS criminal investigator, is accused of orchestrating a chilling double murder of a man named Joseph Ryan and his own wife, Christine Banfield.
This is one of the wildest cases I've ever seen.
That he had a grip on maybe the back of her neck, maybe the back of her hair.
The truck was coming from the opposite direction and was trying to turn left on a Fairview Road. Inside that truck, there's Ricky D'Antano, Heather Maxon, and her boyfriend Ryan Nagel, whose sister Julie Nagel was a friend of Brian Albert Jr. and had called him looking for a ride home.
How far ahead of Ricky were they?
Maybe 100 feet.
Could you see them the entire time?
No.
Could you see them the entire time?
No.
She is honestly claiming that the SUV was in front of 34 Fairview before she goes out to speak to her brother.
So when John got out of the car, saw him reach the breezeway door, which is the side front door, and he opened the door and went to walk in.
This is the arrival of John O'Keefe's phone at 34 Fairview. At the end of it says, show the device moving west from the roadside towards the house. That's what you wrote, correct?
Correct.
The next says, from the combination of device location and bearing, it does appear that the device started to move towards the house. This location data is immediately followed by 12 minutes of low accuracy records. There are many possible reasons why the accuracy be reduced. There's a little grammar issue there. This could include reasons such as the device entered a building covered area.
The following is a public service message from Pathological Liars Anonymous.
And when they came into the house, this sort of second group, where was it that they went and sort of congregated around the house?
Yeah, we all were still in the same room in the family unit. The floor plan, which is the kitchen and the dining room area. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
And she can't focus on what he's saying because she's still focused on the colossal mistake that she just made.
We were in the family room.
So everybody was in the kitchen, and then we have a connecting dining room, but it's opened. It's only, a difference of 5 feet. And then we have the family room den that's adjacent to the kitchen. But they're all close proximity.
Now, why mention the family room if everybody's in the kitchen?
So there's a wall, but there's a doorway. So there's really no barrier to go from the kitchen dining room into the family room.
Just this wall, that takes up the whole length of the kitchen and the family room.
Lindsay Gattani shared the other day on the Twitter machine a text conversation with the McAlberts. Are we planning on doing Operation Stakeout?
When I first saw these, I was certain they were fake. They were most likely legitimate. Some of the reasons our experts cited was the precise spacing. When you have an actual printout, the spacing has to be exact. If you go in with Photoshop and alter it, generally the spacing will be off. And she also cited the proper spacing between the date and the times as well.
Brian Jr.'s dad took upstairs to let the dog out back, but he just opened the back door and watched them from the door, and that was the only time he went upstairs. But
yeah, that was it. But that's all. That was it. Look at that.
And showing solidarity, you can see them there.
It's about getting justice for John O'Keefe. There clearly is an issue of integrity.
How dare they? Justice for all. Only we have a problem here.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yay. It is our Monday Nooner with my co-host, Loophole Lawyer, who is here with me now. Hello.
How you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
This is one of my longest relationships ever.
It's been weeks now.
Yes, it's been interesting. I've been watching your videos. I went to sleep watching the first one, and then in your comments, I heard people yelling at you for not posting the second and third parts, and then some complaining that you have to pay for a membership to watch part 2 and part 3. And I felt bad because I was the one who told you to break it up into 3 parts for some reason.
It's true. It's true. Well, it was 3 hours and 20 minutes, I think, total, the first, final draft. And I wanted to post it all together, but I just know that's a lot for a lot of people. So I broke it up. But I also knew I was going to release it all by noon today. So for those that, are not paid members, it usually comes out pretty quickly thereafter, but I get it because I would be dying too if I were in their shoes.
Yeah, you come from working directly for Howard Stern, and one of his main premises was not to milk the audience with any type of trinkets, with the sweatshirts and all the other junk. This is what I've learned for 25 years that you have, and Emily loves all the junk. And another thing was, with regard to memberships, I don't want to do it knowing that I have to put out something that my whole heart's not into it. But yeah, I would love to have that support for the channel. And if I ever do it, then it would just be to say, if you want to support us, do it that way, as opposed to giving the chats, because I don't go live. So yeah, I get that. And I just don't want to put out a subpar product. Not saying that yours is, and it's not, obviously. But for me, it's just something I haven't done on this particular channel.
I totally get it. Yeah, it's definitely a struggle to know what the right moves are. A lot of it's, trial and error. That's kind of how we roll, right? One step at a time.
How much you make on those sweatshirts in general when you sell them?
Nothing. Very little.
No, but literally, what is the breakdown?
So you can select. I mean, there's a default setting. It's probably, I don't know, some very small percentage. 3%, 10%, something up to 10. But you can charge as much as you want and make as much as you want. I make very little, like $3 on every t-shirt or sweatshirt. I mostly do it for fun. Actually, I've been making leggings for the last 10 years. So for myself. So that's how it started. I started just offering my leggings.
I've been staring at leggings for the past 20 years. How much to buy yours?
Right. I don't know. I'd have to look. Probably like between 27 and 40, depending on the type. So I actually like the material of cheaper leggings. So go ahead.
When I was on with Miss Judy, and she wore the bikini for her bikini challenge when Wendy Jilladison wasn't arrested. And what I love about her is I asked, if a fan wants to buy it for $100, would you send it to him? Yeah, sure. No problem. But what if they spent $200 and you wore it for 24 hours and then bagged it up? Yeah, sure, no problem. That's what I love about her. Not offended. For $200? Yeah, sure. It's no sweat off my back, she said.
That's so funny. Oh, yes. Okay, so we need to make an announcement. I have to, before I forget to do it. My father was supposed to come on today, but the great Joe Benigno is sick. And, my dad is very rarely sick. So if he tells me he's sick, he's in bed, he's dying, I believe him. And actually, I think it's better. We don't want the sick version of my dad. We want the awake, alert, and alive version. So nonetheless, we move on. And we may have some other folks joining us throughout the show today. We'll see how it goes. And another pretty interesting announcement. It appears as though we may have someone willing to come on from the anti-Karen Reed camp and actually kind of share their perspective and how they came to their thinking.
Yeah, and you're referring to two things. Obviously, the first is your dad. And when you sent me the text, and I immediately said, I never accept excuses, and I felt bad. And then you proved to me that your dad was sick, and he wrote to you that he was sick, sorry, honey. And then your response was a perfect condition for someone in your life that lets you down. And you're like, sure, it's okay, Papa, like what you said, which is nice, obviously. But to me, I told you that I've never heard my dad complain about anything. He had a stroke, Sam, that was like the ones where basically you probably will end up dying. He didn't. But even when after the stroke, he called me And in typical Ginzo fashion, he's like, "Oh, I had something." He didn't even call it a stroke.
Right.
And he was, so I've never heard him complain. I don't think he's ever in my life ever said no to anything. Forget about being sick, just anything. So I felt bad for you. And then I don't know you that well. I didn't want to pry so much, but I sort of get it. Now, he did let us down, Mr. B. I better see a rain check with this. I had so much prepared.
Oh, no, of course.
I mean, last night I told you I was listening to everything. Basically, I found out that he loves the Jets, loves the Mets, and loves women, right? So those three things. What is the order, though, with your dad?
Well, if we're just, I mean, in those, just with those three things, yes, I think he probably would put women first, and then the Jets, and then the Mets. That would be the lineup for my father. I'm sure he would tell you, yes. But I mean, you've never met, these guys, like the guys that work at WFAN. A lot of people think that radio folks are all show and that they kind of go on the air and like turn it on. But in my experience, working in radio for 10 years in the background, these guys are exactly the way that they are on the air and off the air. Like, they're the quintessential epitome of what they are like. So I have all kinds of WFAN stories that our listeners probably aren't very interested in, but
I realized that too. And I had a lot of questions for your dad. I had all the data as to how your channel is tripling his channel, how your channel does better than WFAN. I was ready for Mr. B. Oh, and I wanted to ask him if your fiance was put to the test by him. Does he give him the complete NFL workout? Does he make him run a 40? Does he make him bench 225 as much as he can and do the vertical jump and the Wonderlic test? I had all these questions for Mr. B, and he needs to come on and ask and answer these questions.
I think you'd be happily surprised. My fiance is a little older than I am, and I think he probably could do all those things and pass the tests easily.
So in all honesty, well, full disclosure, not all honesty, in full disclosure, I asked Corey Hopkins if your fiance could potentially be on her team, because obviously I don't have great gaydar when it comes to women, because I fell in love with Corey when I first saw her, and then when I see her, and she said no. And then I guess you had mentioned that it was a guy. So then I got into the questions that I wanted to ask Mr. B about how he vets your potential suitors.
Okay. Well, you'll have an opportunity to do so. I know he was the one that wanted to come on with us. He suggested coming on with us, so I know he wants to. And he must be really sick if he's not coming on today, because he usually, like, my dad's the kind of guy that, when it was snowing, would still be out there jogging, right? So
but that doesn't help
really
you. That helps him look better, Sam.
Well, but that's what I mean. If he's not doing it, he's sick. I believe him. So
I don't. But Mr. B, don't hold anything against me. And I wanted to ask him, because a lot of these people run their ads during a show, and I saw that your dad had a sponsor from Manscaped, and he was talking about shaving his balls, which is nice. Like he was doing it with his co-host there at the time, or whoever he was on with.
Yeah. Sal,
right?
I think you were talking about?
Sal, yeah. He was telling Sal how you could shave your ass with that and his balls.
Oh my
God.
I
liked
okay.
it. Yeah,
Thank
your dad's
you.
cool. Yeah, but I mean, it's your dad, and whatever. I don't know how
he did
close
do that,
your relationship. Yes, he did. And then he had a sponsorship, but I wanted to know how much they're getting paid in this day and age to interrupt a show like that. And I know the old school radio.
He doesn't know, actually. He really doesn't. And the reason I know that is because I was talking to him about that very phenomenon, and we've had different people reaching out offering sponsorships, and the prices range pretty extremely. And it depends on who they are, what they're about, and how long your ads are, right? All of that. So, but he doesn't know anything about it. It all goes to his production assistant. So actually, I'm supposed to reach out to them to find out. Yeah.
Well, our show's getting bigger, and I think we're going to need someone to help us do that. I mean, I'll sell out, I guess, for a product, but I just hate interrupting shows with that type of information. Because, and I get it, but also the fans on YouTube are, if you don't have premium, you're watching ads anyway. So I don't like to do that to them if I don't have to.
Yeah. My thing is, and this is what I was talking to his, what I wanted to talk to his producer about. I want to find a company that I love and support, that I actually think does good things and has good products, right? So that's kind of my strategy, is like, if I'm going to do it, I'd like to do it the right way and not just accept, talking about VPNs, because I don't care much about VPNs, right? So, yeah.
Well, your dad definitely backs manscaping, the manscaper. He
does,
said it
yes.
works perfect, right? On different body parts.
He does. Yes, he has a number of, not a number, a few that he's very in support of. Yeah, he's funny. My dad is definitely a funny guy. So that's
yeah,
for sure.
what made him such a great success in radio was the fact that he was authentic, and he came from just being a caller and knowing what people wanted to hear, and he has that voice. And I tell you, when I see him with that damn headset on, it makes me so happy, and it's so comforting to hear him talk about men wrestling over a penis-shaped football, right? That's fine, but just his voice is comforting.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not to you as much, but for fans, you're like, yeah.
Well, I got used to listening to my dad too. And actually, I used to walk in my house. First thing I would do is put on WFAN. It just became habit for the decade and a half that I was there. So I'm used to it also to some degree, but he's definitely still my dad. Yeah, that doesn't change.
So now you put out this 3-part video proving John O'Keefe entered 34 Fairview. You're talking completely entering the house, the doors behind them shut. That's your conclusion? Because I haven't seen it yet.
That is my conclusion. Yeah. So after going through this process, and I want to also point out to anybody who hasn't seen it or who has, I did not go into any of this trying to prove that. My intent at the start was not to determine whether or not John walked in the house. It happened completely by accident. All I was doing in real time was kind of going wherever what I was watching was taking me. And my point was to show what these kind of benign testimonies of witnesses, how they differed from these other witnesses who we hear from, the McCabe's, the Alberts, the House defendants. If you don't see it back to back, it's hard, because all we focus on are these folks who kind of testify in the same way. And so even though we talk a lot about deception detection, until you see what it looks like when really straightforward, honest testimonies take place, it's hard to grasp the gravity of the dishonesty. But that was the goal starting out. And then once I got into it, I realized, oh my God, there's this whole other thing going on here that I missed. And I don't know how I missed it, but I did.
It is amazing how us as human apes lie so much in our lives. And it doesn't necessarily have to be testifying, but everything we're doing, like me wearing a hat, you wearing makeup, we're all a big lie for the most part.
I don't know if I'd put it that way, but I understand what you're saying. Deception. So there's differences, right? Like lying, misrepresenting reality. We can do that in a number of different ways. But this is a little different, right? This is definitely, we're talking about the murder of a police officer. That's why I go nuts. It drives me insane. Not only are we being gaslit, but we're being gaslit by the most horrific of crimes. And those same folks continue to be communicating routinely with the victim's family. It freaks me out. It re-traumatizes me every single time I hear it, see it, and relearn it, right? Again and again and again.
I think all of them could detach except for Brian Higgins. I will probably never see Brian Higgins talking to Miss O'Keefe because he's the catalyst behind all this. Whether you believe that Jen eventually knew or everyone else knew, they all mentally probably can separate and say, I didn't want to kill John O'Keefe.
Right.
I had no motive. I had no opportunity. So I didn't want to do it. And if you're claiming that he went in the house and then the people knew about it and then lied about it, then yeah, they're legally culpable, but I could see mentally how they could potentially sort of detach. And Brian Albert being experienced in death and experienced in seeing this type of stuff and helping a friend out secondarily where he wasn't the main culprit probably, then yeah, I could see him having the ability to detach. But these aren't geniuses, by the way, and I don't want to give them more credit than we'll figure this out. I mean, we're figuring it out inch by inch. There was no way, Sam, the jury in trial number 1 could have figured any of this out, especially what was presented to them. It's impossible. We're learning new stuff every single day.
Absolutely.
That helps. Yeah, so there's no way you could have conveyed this to a jury being restricted by the rules of evidence where you can't just put things in, you can't just show them certain things. And we're going to see some of that today. With regard to the sidebars, I thought it was very interesting that the text messages were presented and how they were allowed in. Now, I was wrong in saying that, the defense must have seen this before and agreed to it. I didn't realize that they were actually objecting to the text messages.
Wait.
Yeah.
Back up. So we're talking, I think, about the Colin and Allie text messages. I just want to make sure everybody understands what we're talking about. Yes. Okay.
Yes. Thank you for adding that context. Yes. And when I first saw them, I thought these are completely fake. Right? It looked like a bad Photoshop job.
It did.
So then I didn't understand how the defense would allow this to actually be entered into evidence. And then obviously this is a very important learning lesson because I was certain those things were fake. I mean, I've been fucking around with my friends with Photoshop my whole life. It's ever since it was around, right? So to me, that was just, the font was wrong, the spacing, it was missing. And just then you come to realize that the way it gets printed, that's the way it comes out. And I didn't realize that at all. And I forgot about the spacing and things like that. So it was just interesting, and we'll get into that in a little bit later. I don't want to talk over the video that we have. And Mr. B, we brought in a substitute. We called to the bullpen, as they would say in his industry. And hopefully Emily C will be joining us at the 1 o'clock hour.
Yes.
And I want to say, Mr. B, we can replace you if we need to, but I do really hope he comes on. I had a question. Well, how would he have answered this? He's in a sinking boat, and there's Jackie, and there's you. And he has to get rid of one of you. Who would it be? Or you all die.
We all die. Yeah, that's the answer, I think.
Yeah, he's going to be... You know why I asked that? And I know your fans don't necessarily like Howard Stern, but Howard was asked the same question with Gary, Howard, and a chair, and Howard said that he would save the chair over Gary. He'd throw Gary overboard and save the chair. So, I had all these jokes for you, Dad, and yeah, I know, and I guess I can't ask him today, but we'll eventually get him on the show,
Jackie. We'll
get there
eventually.
Yeah, because I know your sister wants me to confront them about your mom, your Italian mom, your Jewish mom. Like, no one's been able to do it to this guy, and I just want to ask him about these questions. So the other thing that you're talking about is this guy, Kevin, from the show. We're going to have a little video on him. And Sam, I am not good with talking to people to ask them to come on. Like, I've never done it. I usually had someone that did it. So either you have to do it or we have to get someone else. I'm bad with rejection. You handle rejection nicely because you probably never get rejected. So I get rejected all the time, but I'm not used to it.
Well, I don't mind being rejected. To me, it can't hurt to ask, right? So I don't mind being rejected. Yeah, I think it's a good thing, though. I think we should just start reaching out to everybody and, see who's willing to do it. And so just to bring everybody up to speed, we had talked last time about wanting to bring on somebody from the anti-Karen Reed camp to just come on and discuss, right? And Kevin Lenahan is a name that keeps coming up because he's really maybe the only person that I can think of from that camp who can have a conversation without name calling or, freaking out, really. And so we talked about reaching out to him, and you did that.
Yeah, which is surprising. He actually had an email that was randomly there. Since I'm not on X, I think X has to be part of our thing because you can contact people directly. And I just haven't been really on to that. But either way, now, our show's a little bit more higher end. We don't have this wide open for anyone to come on. We have to actually play it a little
hard to get.
Yeah, we're really not. We're the biggest floozies because we have no guests. Even your dad bailed on us.
That's right. No, we'll get guests, though. Here's the thing. I love having guests. The problem with it is we don't have a lot of time. It feels like you have a lot of time. You're like, we've got 3 hours or 2 hours or however long. But in reality, it goes really fast, especially when we're talking about this case, because there's so much to talk about when it comes to the Karen Reed stuff. So I don't mind not having guests, but of course I want to have guests. It's more fun, right?
Yeah, it was interesting with Kevin was with the Foreskin Girls, and he was going through his mental process. And it was cool to hear because initially he thought Karen was innocent.
Right.
And then at some point he determines Karen's guilty. And I like hearing that. And actually the things that they bring up help me try and figure out where the weaknesses are in the case. In particular, they talk about the backing up of the SUV according to the data in the actual car. Now, in fairness, I never really analyzed it that much because I never put much weight into it. But at some point, I have to, right? At some point, you have to go through the keystrokes or whatever the hell that thing was, which is so freaking dumb. You know, it's like you have to, I don't know why it just doesn't have like exact timestamps, or we talked about this before, but I'm going to get into that. Yeah, it just...
Yeah. Here's the problem with some of that, just so you know off the top, and we talked about this, you and I think, alone. So the problem is that the telematics data is supposed to have a timestamp. So these systems are really advanced, and there were all kinds of shady behaviors around Karen's Lexus data. Like, for example, you know, the defense couldn't get their hands on the data for however long. And a lot of the data isn't there. Like, for example, some of it is just zeroed out. So all of the prior data from when Karen bought the car to right before this incident, there's no information. So, and part of the reason why that's important is because these trigger events, they are often dependent. It's kind of like an AI system that learns your patterns of behavior. So if somebody else is driving the car, that by itself could cause a trigger event. And once you start to get into learning more about how these systems work, it just becomes clear that I struggle to give any credit to it because, as you pointed out, they are not attaching an actual day and time. We're trying to take all these different data sources and line them up and then believe that wholeheartedly, right? And that's super tough for me for all those reasons.
Yeah, and that's the frustrating part about it because they claim something happened, but you can't really confirm the time at all based upon what I'm seeing to a high degree of accuracy. And also the fact that it's not plausible that that occurred. Nobody saw that Higgins' Jeep was there. There's so many weird things that go on with it. Obviously, no injuries to John. And that's where I want to hear Kevin's opinion. It was interesting. At the end of the show, he said, well, someone asked about Higgins and the video. And he said, well, I did see it. And in fairness to him, he said, it does look like he's agitated, Higgins. But he said he didn't see the entire thing. They only showed a few seconds of it at trial number 2. And I thought it was odd that he wrote a book on this entire case and basically for trial number 1. And he points out, well, Karen's team didn't even mention it in trial number 1. They didn't question anyone about it. And we always go over this huge misstep of not seeing Higgins taunting John and then the text message that follows later. No one else did it. Colin didn't do that. Colin wasn't in love with Karen. Colin didn't taunt John, you know, and then in the middle of a snowstorm. And we have to think about that too. I did research on why human apes are more violent in the summer compared to the winter. And it's not necessarily because of the drop in temperature. It's just the drop in potential of crossing another human ape. So like when you actually bump into someone, that's where violence is caused because of that and with cold weather. But you have to think, it's like if Colin is exiting the house or John's going in, it's freezing and it's just started to snow. And it's not something that you really want to be outside or looking for someone to punch at that point. So, but in fairness to the other argument, they did cross paths, right? So that's really where the science comes in because it's really the lack of interaction. But all these people potentially had an interaction with John, right? If John's walking up that path,
Colin
and here's
could be
the
walking
problem.
Out. He could be walking out, but I don't think that's what happened here. And what I'm starting to realize based on the testimony of the witnesses is that one of the questions, the big question I had is did the people, Julie, Sarah, did they show evidence, show signs of having seen John in the house? Did their testimony? Now, I didn't go into this 3-part video with that intent. I wasn't trying to determine that. I have in the past. I think because I wasn't looking for that, it was much easier to see. there is this part of us, just in terms of how perception works. Intent gets factored into how our eyes, how our ears, how our senses will put on their radar, will look for certain things, right? And I think
What do you mean by that?
So it's sort of like, for example, have you ever I used to lose my laundry card all the time. Like I'd be in the middle of doing laundry, I would lose the laundry card and then panic because if my clothes are left in the washer without going in the dryer, they're going to be ruined and moldy, right? So inevitably I would give up, freak out, look everywhere, give up, say, oh, all right, I guess I'm going to have to go with, ruin some clothes. And then I look to the armrest on the couch and there's the laundry card. Feels like I have trolls or somebody like ghosts moving my stuff around. But in this case, that is definitely not the case. What happens is as soon as I believe that something is lost, my eyes will block it from my view. Because our intent, our belief systems, we used to think in science it was the other way around, that we're just these kind of blank slate observers of reality. Now we know that it's absolutely the other way around. That perception is driven by your senses are responding to how you think, what you believe, all of that. So my intent going into this had nothing to do with examining whether the witnesses were telling the truth about whether they saw John. It was simply just to point out the differences in honest testimony, which I thought there were some really clear patterns in these honest testimonies. They were just really clear, listening, hanging even on every word that the prosecutor was saying, leaning in, really trying to hear, thinking carefully about what the answer to that was, and then giving their answer. And if they weren't sure, they'd ask a clarifying question. You really get the sense that they wanted to get it right. Now, whatever right meant for them is irrelevant. You just got the sense that they are very much trying to be as honest in their own right as they can be, not do more and not do less. Then
you saw that in your video with Karina and her sometimes not knowing, but then trying to get the answer correctly. And you brought up a good point with regard to the witnesses that are answering questions before the question's even done. They're already going to say yes or no or have something to say. That means they're not listening, obviously, to the question being asked. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, there's so many different things, right? They're listening, like you could see with Brian Albert Jr., he's listening for certain buzzwords because he has rehearsed answers. So he's listening, but not carefully so that he could remember, go into his memory bank and say, oh, this is what happened. He's listening for the sentences that trigger what the rehearsed response is supposed to be. And that is just so transparent. I mean, the patterns are egregious, but they're universal. You see the same patterns of lying because lying is hard, especially under the pressure that these guys were under, not only because it's a courtroom, which by itself, by the way, is stressful, because the eyes of the world are on them, because their lives are riding on this. I mean, let's be honest, these people are covering the murder of a police officer. And so I also think with going into this three-part series, I also think my prior knowledge of the case helped me because I knew where to go to grab testimony from all these other people. Like I knew, oh wait, Jen says something about that. I could go grab it. That was also super, super helpful.
Yeah, so if you're going to make the claim that John was in the house, then you have to answer the question, did everyone that was in the house see him? Because it wasn't a big space and everyone was literally near the door.
Yes, they were. Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think they did.
Right. So you can have that opinion.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's fine. And so you think Sarah Levinson saw John O'Keefe enter the house?
I know Julie Nagel did. Given the fact that Sarah Levinson is friends with Julie and Brian Jr., my guess is the three of them are pretty much in the same position, wherever they had been throughout the entirety of the night, because they kind of set up camp in the family room. Brian Albert and Brian Higgins probably are standing and talking. And the reason I say that is because that gets verified in 100 different ways throughout all these people's testimonies. And because Sarah Levinson does the best job of being deceptive, but I think what she's doing, she's pulling from reality. So she's thinking about them being in the family room. She's just moving them into the dining room or the kitchen area, right? So I could not, for the life of me, because of my own experiences hanging out in kitchens, I just kept ignoring what was so obviously right in front of us, which is repeatedly evidence that they were not hanging out in that dining room. It's crazy to me that I ignored it, but I ignored it because of my own bias. You talk about confirmation bias. My bias is, well, we hang out in the kitchen and in the dining room. So of course that's where they were. And it was so strong that it kept me from actually listening to what the witnesses were saying.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you brought up something where the atmosphere that must have been there when a particular witness was in there. For example, when Higgins walks into that house and there's just Brian Albert Jr. and the two girls that he's never met, and there's Higgins, who's not the life of the party. What is the vibe like when he's in there before Jen McCabe and anyone else comes in? And what is the vibe like when Colin, who's 17 years old, is looking at not necessarily the best looking girls, but girls that are older, maybe not his type, and Brian Albert Jr., his cousin? Does he want to be there, or does he want to get the fuck out of there?
So here is the thing, and I know I must have had this thought, but I just let it go because I figure, just like all of us, well, that is his cousin. But what became clear to me in my review again of some of the testimony here, and I have a lot more to do, I admit, is what is Colin? What the hell is Colin Albert doing hanging out with Sarah, Julie, and his cousin Brian Jr.? This is Colin Albert, number one, is 17. It's a weekend night before a snowstorm. He's been hanging out for 3 hours drinking at his buddy Mike's house, at least allegedly. I don't have any reason to believe that isn't true at this moment. So it's bizarre anyway. He shows up late. By everybody agrees in his own report, he's not there until 11 o'clock, and he's only with those first girls, the first group of girls, who are also friends of Brian Jr.'s, so probably not friends of Colin's, for 10 minutes.
Are we to presume that those girls, Catherine Doody, which is, I don't understand that last name. I mean, there's a certain point where you just have to change your name. Like
I agree.
It's spelled D-O-O-D. And I hate saying this. It's mean and it's cruel. But there are certain things where just like, I don't know if you would ever, if Tom Brady's last name is Tom Doody, would you still marry him? Probably, yeah. You would probably.
For sure.
You're so superficial.
Definitely.
But I mean, like, let's say he was just an average guy that was a good potential mate for you. I don't think you would maybe think twice.
Well,
before
keep my
you do
last
that.
name, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Just
right.
keep my
So
last name. Totally. So this is interesting. I mean, people are offering some suggestions about why Colin might have been there. Did he bring over weed delivery? Oh, yeah. Okay. Definitely could be. That could be. Colin's mom left the waterfall, got Colin, brought him to 34 Fairview. Okay. That's
Colin.
definitely one possibility for sure. The question is why? I think that would be the question.
yeah. Well, he is 17, and in the suburbs before a big blizzard, everyone's flipping the fuck out, buying stuff. They even did it in Manhattan. Did you do what those sheep did and go to your local shop before this? It is so fucking lame because my wife showed me a picture. It was 70 people in a deli. Well, not a deli, a little bit nicer than a deli, but why? It's open 24 hours anyway. They never shut down, and there's 12 of them, within walking distance. I don't understand why people in Manhattan do that. And we have so much food in our lives. The last thing we need is more food, but we still do it.
It's so crazy.
I didn't do it. Yeah. So with that point, is he just there because there's not many options going on that particular night for a 17-year-old?
So, I mean, here's the thing. I don't know that I ever would have hung out with Colin per se, but certainly my friends were the kids that were allowed to stay out later. They were the kids that often came from homes where mom and dad, maybe there weren't two parents, maybe one was preoccupied with their own thing. So some of my friends were definitely Colin like in certain ways. And we were a family. We were together constantly, right? So even if there was nothing going on the night before a snowstorm, you're going to make it. You're going to make a party, right? I mean, this is his senior year in high school. I don't know. To me, I'm having a hard time with thinking that Colin went over there just to say happy birthday to his cousin and would have done it alone. Like, why wouldn't he have brought somebody with him?
When you were in this situation before your parents were divorced, did you hang out with family and cousins a lot?
Yeah. Yes. But I was a kid. I was like 10 years old, right? Yeah, my cousins were my whole world, actually.
Right. Me too.
Yep.
And
So
then
I could see
walking
that.
distance, yeah, from our house. So this town sort of reminds me of where I grew up in Bethpage. Very similar, actually.
Similar.
In many, many ways. You know, just one little local shop. You may have one pizza shop, maybe two, but most likely not. Just one little town. And you can potentially walk or drive within 5 minutes to anywhere in the town.
Right.
So, and we hung out with our cousins a lot, but I didn't have that relationship when I was a little bit older. Like high school, I would say no. But he was older, Brian Albert Jr., so maybe that's some appeal to it. I don't know if these girls, if Judy was hot or her friends were hot, and Colin was into them.
I don't know.
But the vibe has to change, and you brought this up once they're gone, and it's just Colin, Brian Albert Jr., and those two girls.
Right.
That's a different vibe. I don't think Colin wants to be there. Now,
Right.
Emily said, well, Colin wants to wait for cool Uncle Brian to come home. And I said, when I was 17, I don't give a shit how cool my uncle was. And he's not that cool, by the way. I see what he was doing. He was just dry humping Brian Higgins at the bar at 50 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Cool uncles are not your number one objective when you're 17 as a boy.
They're not, but
No.
Emily's not wrong in that some of the language, I have to go back through Colin. It's been a very long time since I actually just watched Colin's testimony from start to finish. Usually I get so frustrated about 10 minutes in, I just kind of walk away. But some of the language that I did see in passing for when I was going through a testimony for this video, these 3 videos, he does definitely hold his uncle up on a pedestal. This house is his uncle's house, not his aunt's house, not his cousin's house. This is his uncle's house. He's that is 100%. Even Chris Albert on the stand is willing to admit that the two of them are close. I have to tell you, I think there's a greater likelihood that Colin is there for his uncle than for his cousin. And that's the challenge that I am really stuck, because you're right. Do I think he's going to hang out with his uncle on a Friday night at 11 o'clock? I have a hard time with that too. But it's like, is it likely he's hanging out with Brian Jr. and Sarah Levinson? No.
Depends on his personality, but it's way more likely to hang out with a little bit older cousins than an uncle. I had cool uncles, but I couldn't imagine at 17 wanting to go to hang out with them at 11 or 12. But then again, they were probably sleeping, and it wasn't like they were out drinking and dry humping Brian Higgins. As fun as that is.
I don't know. Part of me wanted to say, well, maybe he was going to sleep over at the house because of fill in the blank. The next day he was going to help them shovel. I don't know. Right. I mean, maybe there was some other reason. And again, you believe, which I respect, that he left that house, but I'm still not 100% sure that the intent was for him to leave that house. I think he did leave. I don't think he left with Allie. I think he did leave, but maybe it wasn't his intention. Maybe the intention was to stay overnight. I mean, it's very possible.
Potentially. That would be odd, though, if you live just a few minutes away.
You're right. I was thinking
at that
just because of the
age.
snowstorm. No, you're not wrong.
There was not much snow on the ground at that point, as we know.
No, there wasn't. You're right. Andrea Patterson, 85, sends $9.99. Hi, guys. I want to try to clear up a question I had from last week. If Tully and Berkowitz were pulling the strings, do you think they could still frame Karen if Proctor didn't know the Alberts?
Yes. The answer is yes. I don't think you need Proctor or Yuri Buchanan to be involved at all. This wasn't that hard. When you look back to it, all you need is someone that had access to the SUV to pull out those taillight pieces initially. That's all you needed. After they broke that taillight out because they had to do it for the investigation, then it's a lot easier to get pieces. But the critical point that this guy Kevin, we're going to see in the video later, is that he has an issue with the timeline, but he brings up a good point. Either you believe that that taillight was planted, and if you do, and if it was, then it's possible that Karen was framed. But if it wasn't, then Karen most likely is guilty. I mean, that's basically 100%. It. Yeah, and I never really got down to that actual extreme, but it is true.
It's that simple. Yes. Yeah. And so I read his book, and I was aware of that belief in his books. I think I did know. I didn't realize that was the reason why he changed his opinion, but I did know that that was his opinion, that he concluded. And again, remember, some of these people, I don't remember the extent to who he, started to get to know, but some of these folks he has met, he has spoken to, he has interviewed, he does have some type of personal interaction or relationship with, that certainly will 100%. For example, let's say we both meet Karen Reed and we don't like her, right? I mean, you see how the people that don't like Turtle Boy have, no matter what the evidence is, just hate Turtle Boy, so they hate Karen, right? Personal emotions about these people will absolutely cloud your experience of the evidence. I mean, you can't separate it out. It's not possible.
Yeah, and I'm starting to see that with Tuesday and the rest of the girls. As much as I don't want to admit Tuesday is sort of biased, but I could see that whatever is presented to them, it's the exact opposite straight away. And that's fine. You can have that opinion, but you're not going to solve the case correctly if you keep that type of methodology where the second anything negative comes in, you automatically dismiss it.
Absolutely. And that's what, and one of the things I like about us communicating about the case is that we don't always agree, and that it sort of forces me, and I've said this to Emily C too, it sort of forces me to have to reconnect with what my opinion is and how I got there. I have to be able to defend whatever my opinion is and not just, oh yeah, I believe that, and that's just because, right? And remember, from my view, I'm not a cell phone expert. I'm not a law enforcement officer. So my area of expertise is humans, is human behavior, human thoughts, perception, reality. So for me, what I trust is what I see. And with these witnesses, this is part of why when I came to conclude that John walked into that house and that everybody in that house did see him go in, it was such a big deal for me personally, because for me to actually believe that, it took so long. I resisted that belief. I fought against it for the last, however long, a year and a half now, really strongly, because I just couldn't accept that Sarah, all these people would, lie outright, right, in a court of law about this. But that is exactly what happened, which I think speaks to the power of the Albert family, the power of Brian Albert, and how threatening people perceive him as being.
Yeah, I don't believe that he's powerful at all. In fact, I think it's just a local thing, a big fish in a small pond.
Right.
Yeah, I have no fear of any of those guys at all. I don't think that they're so powerful. I don't think they're so smart. And that's why I have a lot of conflict with Emily. And even you sometimes, I know I can be overwhelming in my text messages, and it takes a while, but there is a benefit to having two sides combating each other. Eventually the end product should be the truth. And it's so easy to say now. It's annoying when you get 30 texts from me telling you how there's no way Colin Albert is involved. I get that. I get it angers Emily. And by the way, I eventually want to show and prove how much of a bully Emily C is and how she's such a fake on these shows. Miss Nice Goody Two Shoes. The first thing she said, she asked me, "Are you excited that Mr. B's coming on today?" And I said, "Unfortunately, he had to cancel." And then her next response was, "Oh, he probably saw your face like all your blind dates did, and then bailed." And you think, and I was, right before a show, you don't want to be so bothered, but this is what the girl's doing, bullying me right before we have to do this big performance here.
That's so funny. Well, we're going to bring her on. She can defend herself shortly. Hopefully we'll get to see her. That's hilarious. So a couple other things too. And again, I don't want to ruin it for those that haven't seen it yet, but there are two big admissions that come from Julie Nagel. Now, one of the things that really helped me with Julie Nagel was the video, going back and really dissecting the video outside of E&E Pizza with Meredith O'Neill and Turtle Boy, and watching the behavior of everybody. I mean, the whole group, just their behavior in that video is beyond telling. It was beyond incriminating in many respects, because it is not the behavior that you would expect from a group of people who are innocent and trying to defend their innocence. It is the kind of behavior you would expect from people who are terrified and pleading with this guy, Turtle Boy, to stop, right? It's desperate. There's this desperation coming from especially Chris Albert Jr. But Julie is so clearly one of them. Like, she is so clearly, I don't know, in bed with, but representing the group. That was one of the things that kind of helped me just have that in the back of my mind while analyzing her testimony. Because again, I start out with this strong bias, like people are honest. And that was really strong. Like, to your point, you bring up confirmation bias, but for me, the bias is that, no, they're being honest. And I have to
I can't
fight
believe
that.
you're bringing this up, because I had the same exact thought once I saw this. Meaning, you're talking about the video where they're saying "fucking loser" in front of D&E Pizza, and I literally saw, and I didn't know who it was, that girl that was sitting on the bench, and she was part of the guys. She was one of them. And then you have to think, well, she would lie for them based upon my observation of her there. Initially, I'm thinking, oh, this is just a girl who's hanging out with another gay guy and a friend. I don't know what Levinson is. And the three of them are the technical kids, I call them, but they're independent. Yep. They have no motive to kill John O'Keefe, obviously.
No.
So they do have a motive to lie if they want to be part of this group. And she is definitely part of the men that are there. And she's with them. She's ride or die with them, sitting in front of D&E Pizza on that bench. And I remember seeing that. I can't believe that you're actually bringing that up. That's a great observation.
So ride or die. I love the way you said that. She's so ride or die. Unfortunately for them, though, she's a horrific liar. And she screws up royally twice. I think the first one where she honestly believes that, so, and this is there's two big tells, but the one that's specific or initial is she believes that John and Karen pull up before her brother and Ricky in the truck. And she believes it. She really believes it. So the question is, why and how would she really believe? Because we know she didn't see the truck outside, right? We know that's not true. So how could she possibly believe that and be so sure that Karen and John pull up before Ricky D'Antano if she didn't see the car outside?
So what you're referring to is a point in her testimony that I caught too, where she claims that when she walks outside, she doesn't see Karen's SUV. Is that what we're saying?
Yes. And not only does she say she doesn't see it, she insists that the SUV was there before her brother pulls up. Like, she doesn't know that Karen and John were there at the same time. She didn't know, apparently, her brother's testimony.
Well, that's true, though. It did pull up before Ricky's truck.
No, I mean, entirely before. She believes that her brother, she says, no, Karen and John were gone by the time Ricky pulls up.
Gotcha, right. There was that break in her testimony. And I didn't give it much credit because I don't know how much she really can see past the food and being intoxicated and not caring.
Remember. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I get that. And it is important with regard to the script. And this is where you have to give credit to Lally. When you were talking about having to be rehearsed and perhaps Lally was leading them on certain things, for certain attorneys, we go through, this is what we're going to question you on. I see such poor performance by most of these witnesses from a technical legal standpoint. And when you probably are preparing as Lally, this is why I love Lally. He doesn't care that much. He has a script. Literally, he prints it out. He goes through, this is what I'm going to ask you. He probably didn't even train with them. Maybe he went through a few of the questions, but Lally wanted to elicit, the biggest thing from them was that SUV and his truck were so close at that intersection that basically they followed Karen Reed's car to the house. This was huge for him. And Lally's not dumb. He knows that he has to keep those cars close together because they're going to have a witness that saw John and Karen together, and then when they pulled away, there's no John. That's a huge issue for Lally. And he made sure that one of them said that they did the flashing of the lights, but if you listen closely, he asked all of them. The only one that gave it up was, what's the name's boyfriend, Emily C's boyfriend, Ryan Nagel. He's the one who said the flashing of lights. Ricky didn't even remember that.
Ricky didn't remember it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to ask yourself, why is Lally doing that? He wanted all of them to say that because he knows that there's proof. Independent eyewitness, that girl in the back, she didn't see John in there. John's gone. So to your point, he's either in the house or on the side of the house, one or the other.
Right. Yep. But he left the vicinity of the lawn and he left the car. He's not He's not there. He has gone towards the house. Now, one of the things that I never caught before, because again, this is what I mean too. You cannot hold the defense. I mean, obviously you would have liked the defense to have studied the waterfall video, but there is such an enormity of evidence in this case. The fact that I am still uncovering stuff now is ridiculous. I mean, it's just
it is crazy. But I also tell you, like, that's why we're here right now having a show, is because of this controversy. It's not so clear as the other cases that we can go over, right? And same thing with Adelson, it took a little bit longer, but eventually things were clear. Here, there are still people that wholeheartedly believe that Karen Reed hit John with her SUV, and that's what makes it great. As much as you hate them and it's hard to deal with it when you're hearing it, it does get frustrating. I mean, I have to say that last night on Kevin's show, I super chatted him like 5 different times at whatever night it was. I was in bed and I was so angry, and because he said that, after I invited him, he said that, your channel's a joke and you only think that Colin is guilty. I said, I'm actually the one who, I've said it many times, I don't believe he is. In my videos, and also I had to say, look, dude, it's parody and it's a satire. It's not all real, right? So like, it's a comedy channel in theory, but the show that I'm inviting you on is a serious one here. We talk about Mr. B and his manscaping sometimes, but we're talking about the case here, right?
Right.
So it is fun, and it gets you agitated when you hear that. And I told Kevin, we're not here to bash you, and Samantha's not going to do that. She's not a bully like Emily C. We're just going to discuss, right? Not keep Emily off the show during that time.
Well, and I think one of the things he does well is explain the culture and the community of Canton, which is so important to understanding this case effectively, I think, too.
Yeah, and I think he actually spoke with Brian Higgins before he wrote that book, right?
He did, yes.
Yeah, so he's one of the few, and you sent me the excerpts from it with regard to Brian Higgins, and I'm eating every single word up because he actually had access to him. I didn't realize that Brian Higgins' sister died at an hourly motel, according to Kevin. It sounds like she was a prostitute.
Yeah. Or, I mean, she was unfortunately what people refer to as a junkie, right? I mean, she was a heroin addict who was there at a hourly hotel probably to do both.
Yeah, that's a good point, too. Sometimes we forget that it's the addiction. It's not so much what they're doing. They need to get the money to do it. Yeah. It's not like they're thieves,
in that case.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, though, that we don't hear that. We know that the relationship with Berkowitz is born out of a tragedy, but there's a lot going on in Higgins' life and his world, and I want to know more about Higgins. Even though I know he murdered John O'Keefe, I do want to know more about his background. It makes it a little bit easier to deal with him.
Well, and there's some Brian Higgins is interesting for a lot of reasons. I remember when the Trial Channel told me that he was I don't know if this is still true, but up to that point, he was the most popularly watched video on their channel. And I think he's interesting for a lot of reasons. First of all, he's on the stand for a long time, so it gives us a lot of information. But he also is very obviously contrite. There's a lot of sorrow. Now, obviously, he has grief trauma, so that could be part of why we see so much contrition from him. But he clearly, he gives it up he gives up that there is some culpability because of the amount of guilt that he feels, so much so that while he's testifying, this is an ATF agent, career law enforcement guy in the military. He can't contain the emotion over John playing video games with John's nephew. I mean, there's so much consciousness of guilt all over these testimonies, but Brian Higgins is one that there really is a particular kind of vibe that is distinctly different from everybody else.
Obviously, and that's why I love it. And in the end, why I make light of it is because it is great to actually see someone who's lying, and then you get to study their behaviors and study the patterns and what a liar actually does. Usually you don't get that. You don't know if you can't act as if you're lying and then study them. You have to actually know that the person's lying, and it's great to actually observe Higgy Bear in his natural habitat, knowing that he killed someone and has to lie about it to all of us.
Yeah. So to my sister's question, hi, Sissy. Jackie's a member for 2 months. I didn't even know you were a member, sis. Okay, so thoughts on the case analysis video. I love that you mentioned it. Of course you mentioned the case analysis video that dropped over the weekend, pointing to Chloe as the redrummer. So actually, I just remembered when I read this, that was what prompted me to go back and look more closely at. I got about a second into that because there was, okay, just to bring everybody up to speed, there were some analysis videos for the anniversary, for the 4-year anniversary of the death of John O'Keefe. And many of the ones that I saw, I only saw two. The two that I saw, within a few minutes, I was very sure we're not on the right track. And that was part of what inspired me to go back and point out the egregious deception. And so my guess is, Jackie, I would be shocked if you've already seen these 3 videos because they're 3 hours long. But if you go back and watch them, you'll see really quickly that my feeling is that's absurd. But that's my personal opinion.
Who does Jackie think your dad's favorite child is? If she had to answer, honestly.
You'd have to ask her. I have absolutely no idea. Probably not me.
Had because I had a sister that was less than a year younger than me, but I was older. I never felt slighted at all, but I know that when there's multiple children, people think that there is a favorite. And
yeah.
Do you think that, you don't have to say it, but do you think your dad does have a favorite child?
Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know.
Who would it be then?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I have
See,
no
Jackie,
idea.
I'm trying, Jackie. No one wants to be honest in your family. Everyone beats around it here.
I think my father has very different relationships with all of us, and they're pretty distinct and very separate. So it would be impossible for me to be able to discern that. I don't see him enough with my, stepbrother and my older steps. Like, I don't see him interacting with them enough to be like, oh, they have these good or bad. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think Jackie said your dad's favorite child is him.
Cute. Probably true. Vince, you sent me one of these case analysis video. What did you think of it?
I like all of them. The one that you're referring to, is that it's like a 3 or 4 hour one? Or am I thinking something totally different? Oh, no, it may have 4 in the title for some reason. Oh, it was a 4-year anniversary, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I liked it, but there was one point where they totally blamed Chloe, which is just not practical. It's not probable. It's not worth saying that. I don't know if that's the exact one. So
I think
don't
it is.
necessarily. Yeah, that's where things go. People want to play it safe. Like, oh, if I just say that, then I don't have to blame Brian Higgins. And I don't have to blame Karen Reed. I can take the safe path of life, which is what humans want to fundamentally do. But it's just not the case. If Chloe did it, then you call and you help John. And it would be so obvious wherever it happened, wherever it may have been in that property. If Chloe was the only thing that actually harmed John, then yeah, that's not the case. And
right, it's not. You would have had all these witnesses, by the way. You would have had a whole house full of witnesses that could have verified. We just saw Chloe jump on him.
Yeah, and just there's no way a grown man is going to be knocked over to the point where you have to be knocked out. I think John had to have been knocked out on his feet from a punch. Like I've shown you before, we see it in mixed martial arts all the time. You go unconscious on your feet. And as a girl, if you punch the guy properly, you can do it too. It's just not as practical. But once you go unconscious from a punch, your body just goes stiff. And that's why when you hit the back of your head, you're not bracing for it at all.
Right. Yeah, exactly. There was so much force that, it caused literally the brainstem to essentially, get crushed. Right. But we also see that there are other, the bruises on the back of the hands. That's the one for me that really indicates there was some type of an altercation, that John was either in a defensive posture or himself wound up taking a few swings at somebody. It's a small space too. So now that I am very certain he walks into that house, it also for me changes a lot of things, because right? It changes where this may have happened or opens up the possibility that it does go down in the family room. There is a fireplace in that family room that certainly could be a place that you could hit your head. It's not a huge space. That's the other thing. I'm imagining all these people kind of crammed into this space, that it's a small house for this many people to just be like hanging around, right? So, for what that's worth, there is a porch. Now, it's the middle of winter. It's screened in, but it's very unlikely that they're hanging out in the back porch. But it would have given them access to the backyard, which, of course, could have very likely been where the dog is.
Yeah, it's true, too. I'm just not there with regard to him being attacked in the house, especially on that first floor. But it could be. I don't think you have to really struggle for a place where he hits the back of the head. It could be almost anywhere. It could even be the ground, too. As much as they say it's a ridge surface, that doesn't mean that the ground can't cause it. The ground usually does cause these deaths in the one-punch murder cases.
Well, when you listen to, the reason why, maybe if Dr. La Posada wasn't so convicted in her assessment, I might be more inclined to think that he hit the ground. But there's very strange markings, and she is like so extraordinarily convicted in her explanation. I'm trying to bring up here, and we can bring up the video too. I wanted to try to bring up here this image so you guys could see what I mean about the house. And again, I have more work to do. I didn't know I was going to be concluding or walking away believing that John walked in that house and was injured in the house. But to me, I am very sure now. Let me just take a quick look to see if it's right here. It's not that important. We can also bring up the video that you sent over too, which I think, right, goes more into the text exchange between Colin and Allie. Now, some of you already know how I feel about that. I came to the conclusion, analyzing Allie's testimony, that she was absolutely not there. So to me, she was not there. They bring her in, though. See, this is another thing, and I think, Vince, you mentioned this to me, that a lot of people point this out to you. They point it out all the time. They say to you, wait a minute, but all these people are going to lie just to save Brian Higgins' ass, right? This is the thing, though, and this is what makes it, like you point out, you're going to drag your children in the middle of this to save Brian Higgins. That's really tough for me. And having done a full analysis of Allie, it took me a very long time with Allie. I don't ever want to have to do it again. It is cringy for me to the core of my being to watch her testimony for many reasons, but she's totally lying. So the question is, what could be the motive to bring in your daughter into a case that she has no involvement in just to try to verify that Colin leaves, right? Like, that is extreme. Now, one explanation is that they just didn't ever see this going this far. They did not believe they would ever find themselves sitting in front of a jury. Okay. Possible. But the other is like, right? Like, how do you do that? How do you bring in your child to save Brian Higgins? That just doesn't feel, I don't know. I'm having a hard time with that too.
Yeah, and I totally disagree with regard to her testimony being deceptive at all. There were some times where she didn't answer legally properly. We're going to see a little bit of it here today, and I can point that out as well. But
Sure.
I didn't get a vibe from her of being deceptive like a Brian Higgins or a Brian Albert at all.
Okay, well,
But
she is.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you believe whatever you want to believe. She absolutely is. But again, let's just say for the sake of argument that she is lying. If she was lying, maybe she isn't. Of course, there's that possibility. Why would that be? Like, how could you reason bringing her in if she really didn't go to pick him up?
Yeah, well, you lie to protect yourself fundamentally as a human. So if you're asking your kid to lie for you, then you're doing it to protect yourself. I don't know if that's the case, but that would be the reason. You would want to protect something that you did wrong or your kid did wrong, and that would be the reason why Jen McCabe. She could also be the type of person that wants to bring anyone in and doesn't care about the damage to that person. She just wants Allie to defend her. Now, this is not my belief. You're asking me to speculate. I don't believe that this is what occurred. But yeah, if that would be the reason. I know like parents with narcissistic personality disorder will have no problem having their kid lie for them. They want their kids to lie for them. They're an extension of themselves. So they don't care about the damage to the kid. It's all about the parent. That's why those kids are usually so fucked up. So yeah, that could be a reason. I don't necessarily see that with Jen. I do see a lot of like white suburban stubbornness in a lot of this, which I'm used to, and that's where Jen is. And I will say full-heartedly, she lied under oath on the stand. I just don't have the evidence to support that she knew that John was killed.
Right. So Kylie Cosmos, hi Kylie, sends $4.99, says to assess Colin's role, we need to know how John was moved. That would require help. Are they covering for him as an accessory after the fact? It's a good question.
It is a good point. Can Brian Albert move John by himself? I would say probably yes, if you do the proper carry, fireman's carry, as we were taught in wrestling. Yeah, I think he could technically move the body himself, but that doesn't preclude the fact that Higgins most likely came back at some point.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I don't have any proof of that yet. If you would sue me, I can get the records for that, all those towers near their house, because his phone numbers will probably indicate that they are. You know, Corey and I are going after the Canton PD for Chief Berkowitz's records now. And when I say Corey and I, Corey does the work and I just sign off on it and send it to, and I take no credit. I've always said to all of you that all I'm doing is forwarding Corey's work. Even when people say about the police report for Brian Higgins, my God, not only did Corey draft everything for me, and I just sent it, she keeps following up with me saying, and I didn't even check my email. Sam, I had that report for 2 weeks.
Oh
and I
my
didn't get it
God,
out.
you're kidding.
And think about all the media that came out, and I immediately gave it to Emily C. to give to Melanie Little and to post, because I'm more of open source, not holding things back so I can do it on my channel. I love people watching that, and I don't take any credit for it. Yes, that's the next step, is getting, perhaps Chief Berkowitz has phone records that, not put him there obviously, but who he's communicating with at that time. Are there even text messages between him and Brian Higgins that we haven't seen
I'm
yet?
sure there's a ton of them.
Yeah, I don't know how those guys are with that, but it's definitely suspect what was going on that very morning.
Yes, and here's a couple other things too, just to point this out. So one of the things that's come up from Aiden's case, and one of the reasons why Aiden's cases are so important, is because through that discovery and through Bettero's sort of laying out of that case, what we see is how quickly and to what extent those people, the House defendants, were willing to go, and exactly at what point, to try to bring Aiden down, which was a campaign solely to shut him up. They just wanted to shut him up, right? And they were willing to go to just about any length. They're desperate. I mean, fully desperate. It's crazy. But in that discovery, they moved out of text messaging. They moved to Discord servers. They moved to private chats. They moved to, I'm not sure if it was actually Signal, but they moved to places where they could have conversations and reasonably feel sure that nobody else is going to get their hands on them, which to me by itself is just extraordinarily incriminating. Like, who does that unless you are worried about somebody pulling your records?
Exactly.
It's so shady. I think, Kylie, so my fiance and I did this little experiment where he's a little shorter than John, but he's about the same weight. And so he asked me to try to move him, right? Like dead weight. And of course yes, I was dressed, entirely dressed. But I don't think that I even got, I couldn't even get like his neck. I could barely pick up like the back of him just to there's no way that it would have been easy for Brian Albert to do it by himself. I also think based on where the positioning of John's body was, unless he's moved again, and I don't know what you think about this, we haven't talked about it yet, this whole report about the 4 o'clock in the morning sighting of a person down on Fairview that then gets validated later on. I don't know what that's about.
I haven't even touched it yet, but I will.
Okay. Because that's an
So
interesting, I don't know that there's anything definitive in there, but it's interesting. At least not that I've seen.
Wait, so you weren't able to pick him up?
No.
Your fiance? But was he able to do it to you?
Of course. I mean, yes.
No, I don't know. I don't know if you tried that too. But,
I mean, he could pick me up. Oh, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of
course. Did you
course,
try it though, or you're just saying, yeah?
I mean, I just know he could. 100% he could.
I got to
He
talk to your
could.
dad
I don't
first.
know if
did
Brian
your dad
Albert
vet this
could.
guy first?
Yeah. Yes, my dad absolutely approves of him. He's like the greatest guy. I've scored
How'd you meet
big
him?
time in the men department. I met him online during COVID. Actually,
Yeah, I was looking at your body language, and you're looking up. Obviously, not that you're going to lie, but you had to think about it. But online, like one of the online apps.
Yeah, one of the apps. I met him on an app during COVID. It was
right.
actually
You said Ashley Madison. I never heard of that before, though.
He's never been married. I obviously am divorced. What else? It was an experiment. I did a 3-month experiment on a dating app, and I said, if I don't meet anybody after 3 months, I'm going to call it. It was like 2 days before the 3-month mark was up that I met him. He was on a week. I think it wasn't even a full week before he met me. So it was the opposite experience, but, that was it. It was 5 years ago, I guess. COVID.
Oh, yeah, it's great. Yeah. Oh, during COVID. Yeah, for some reason I thought it was sooner that you guys met. That's great. Yeah, it's so great to have the ability to use these apps to break the ice where the generations before us didn't. So you had to, harass a girl at work until eventually she went out with you, things like that. And it was true, though. There was no other way to really meet people or go to a bar. But it's so much better having the opportunity to break that ice, which is the hardest part, at least for guys it is, to just talk to someone initially. So, yeah, I'm full for it, especially if I ever once get divorced, and I'll be on there hopefully the next day.
Hopefully you never have
funny.
to.
I know.
But yeah, no, they're an interesting kind of research project, dating sites. Very, very interesting.
Well,
I
don't like this though, that you're sort of playing it off as if this was a research thing and you're only giving it 3 months. I mean, you're looking obviously to date somebody on
That
there.
is true. That's actually
Yeah.
That's exactly what the plan was. But it was a research thing. I kept a lot of the. I did do some screenshots of some of the come-ons because they were incredible. Like I had everything from like full-on poetry to these were just the intro discussions.
Gotcha. Got it.
Yeah. So I ended up I screenshotted many of them, and I figured eventually I might use it like in an art project or something because it was a fascinating adventure for sure.
Yeah, and I know guys that do it. They have a canned opening. They just copy paste and send it to 100 different girls, and it's just like fishing. How many hooks you send out, and if you get a bite, fine. But you know what? Who cares? Ultimately,
I don't care.
That's why I was always so certain until you corrected me as to the importance of meeting someone in person, where I had analogized that Karen and Higgy Bear's private meeting was the same as meeting someone from a dating site for the first time in person. And that just wasn't the case. So it wasn't completely over. Because if you think about it, once you met a guy on a dating site that you had zero chemistry with, you never speak to them ever again. Like there's like zero communication. Like you text all the way up to that meeting, and after 2 seconds there will be no communication once you're out of there.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, I studied those texts. I studied all of Karen's texts before because we didn't have the second trial yet. So up until that's how come I had read Kevin's book because, I was trying to get material as we led up to the second trial. Body in the Snow I covered, and I did really several full analysis, Proctor's texts, just to try to extrapolate the meaning, what the nature of these relationships were, how these people, how well they were connected, if they were connected. I, did a full analysis of John and Karen's text. So yes, I was able to kind of draw an assessment from those texts that Karen was the one that was rejected, which is so weird. I know most people, and especially men, seem to have a really hard time with the idea that somebody like Brian Higgins, who's just not a super attractive man, would at all deny Karen Reed, could ever have, rejected her. So, but to me, that is what happened. And that's the reason why, to me, it made sense that there was less interaction after the fact.
Yeah, it's a good point, because a lot of us just think, oh, Karen's so good looking and Brian's not. I don't think Brian's bad looking. I just don't. I can be objective with regard to it. I know a lot of uglier people than Brian Higgins.
Sure.
And
yeah.
not necessarily the best game, but yeah, there can be an attraction there. It's not completely out of their respective leagues. But yeah, you open my eyes big time to that. What are they saying here?
Interesting. So special horses since 1999. Have you seen the video from Case Analysis? Loophole Lawyer is not going to like it. The theory shows that Brian Albert had means, motive, and an opportunity.
He did. So there's 100% yes. So when we talk about opportunity, you have to be there. So there's only 10 people that are there. If you want to include Colin and exclude Chloe as a dog. But yeah, opportunity is the biggest one. You and I didn't have the opportunity, so we can be excluded. Almost everyone in the entire world can be excluded. So then the means comes into place, and that's where I threw out all the kids and Matt McCabe and Jen McCabe, and they're not going to be able to throw a punch like needs to be done. So yeah, it's Brian Higgins or Brian Albert. So
right.
Then the question comes to motive.
What would be the motive?
Are you looking at your phone for something?
No. I'm just looking. I wrote down Case Analysis so I don't forget to look for it.
So what is this? Have you seen the video from Case Analysis? No, I haven't actually.
I have not.
No, I would like to see it though. Is that the name of the channel, Case Analysis?
Yeah.
All right, I'll check that out. Yeah.
Definitely, because I'm curious about what the motive. Now, I mean, I've had lots of people send me emails or comments about a relationship that was work-related, that Brian Albert may have had a motive related to John's job as a sexual special victims unit kind of cases. And fine, but to me, with my kids in the house, there's no way that I'm going to take this. Even if I wanted to hurt him, this isn't going to be the time or place for that. And certainly Brian Albert, I mean, think about it. He's been away for, I don't know what he was doing in New York. They were there doing something, but he's been away. And, this night after he's been drinking for 4 hours, he's going to go to the bar, come home to his house, and then murder John on purpose. I just don't see any.
It's not happening.
I don't see that happening.
No, well, then again, but there is a motive at the end. If he has this attention to Brian Higgins and affection for Brian Higgins, they're both motioning John in theory, potentially.
They are.
So there could be that this was a tag team. I just don't want to make that representation because I don't have the proof for that. I know Higgins was involved, and I know his motive is definitely stronger than Brian Albert's, obviously. But that doesn't mean that Brian Albert is excluded. So it's a good point.
Well, and, Nicole was also really, she was motioning at him too. I mean, that was wild to me. Brian Albert, I wasn't surprised by, but Nicole, she was like really motioning at John to come to the house.
Yeah, and that's the one thing too, because Brian Higgins isn't being so obvious, people could authentically being motioning to come to the house, or she could have been motioning to anyone, to her sister, whoever. We don't know for certain. We know that Brian Higgins had a fucking motive. We know he snapped there. He did it more than once. He's pointing to his head. We've seen guys do this. There's no question, and that's what I want to get Kevin's opinion as to when he sees the entire video and actually looks at it, hopefully with an unbiased view. And then obviously the subsequent text message from Brian Higgins, you come in here with 3 question marks. There's just no way you can say this guy is not amped up for John.
Right. Yes. And my only thing about that, and I would love to hear what Case Analysis has to say about this. My only thing about that is, and I guess, again, if I put this in the context of drunk texting, it's late. And at that point, right before Brian Higgins sends that text, he does have Karen inching her way closer to him, which might have made him feel like he had more entitled. He was more entitled to take on John, potentially. Like she wouldn't have maybe not supported it, right? That's the other thing.
Yeah. And then I leave out the point that, did John know he was going there to fight? because he was giving it back to Higgins. It wasn't as if he's just sitting there shocked. He was smiling at him. I know he had to been shocked out of his fucking mind. He had no idea what was going on behind his back and the passion that Higgins had, but he wasn't backing down either.
No, no, absolutely. It's great. These are all really important questions, right? I don't know. But the other thing, again, drunk context. Brian Albert is notorious for drinking and fighting, from what everybody has said. I mean, look, the Albert family, at a very minimum, should not be drinking, right? I mean, we have Brian Albert, history of fighting with other cops when he's drunk. Chris Albert has killed someone in a drunk driving accident as a child. Tim Albert has literally used his car as a weapon when a woman, God only knows why, was parked at a red light in her vehicle that was on, deliberately crashes into her, and then leaves a fluid trail back to the Albert home at 34 Fairview Road. Like, these people, clearly alcohol is something that they should reconsider altogether.
I heard Chloe was drinking too before she jumped over the fence and bit that lady.
Poor Chloe. Holly Johnson, VD6LB, is a member for 2 months. Did you catch that? Julie Nagel said that Brian Albert came upstairs to let the dog outside. Higgy made this mistake on the stand as well, then retracted. Yes. So she's absolutely lying there. That was sort of the third of the bigger ones that she tells. It's funny. Her deception tag is hilarious. Yep. That's right. That's what happened. Yep. It's very funny. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting that she can't help but mention Chloe, right? Sarah Levinson mentions Chloe too, but they obviously didn't rehearse. That's the other thing that's so fascinating to me. These guys obviously did not all sit in a room together and rehearse. They maybe rehearsed like in twos, and certainly Brian Jr., Nicole, and Caitlin, their testimony was rehearsed together. But outside of those three, everybody else is on their own. And Julie thinks that her directive is to move Colin to the earlier party. And she thinks that really to the point where she's completely discredited by Colin and everybody else, including Brian Jr., because she tries to keep moving Colin unsuccessfully, even within her own testimony, to the earlier part of the night. It's so clear that she's lying, and then tries to get him out of the house before they come home, before everybody from the waterfall comes home. And then everybody from the waterfall testifies that they see Colin. So it's just so funny. It's so absurd. She's
you're right.
Deceptive all the way around.
Except for the Brian Higgins representation about the tall male. I think I said this last week, but I do believe that he is referring to Colin. It's not as conclusive that he saw John, perhaps, as I initially thought. So yes, it could be John, but it also plausibly could be Colin, who's in theory taller with dark hair, that did come in the house momentarily. So I can't say conclusively that was Higgins' admission that John was in the house or there.
A lot of people think it's Tristan. Now I still don't know whether Tristan was there.
Yeah.
But what were you gonna say?
Yeah. No. Oh, after these questions were done, we need to take our halftime break. Remember we?
I know.
We go for like 3 hours. Like,
yes, I know. We're gonna take a break. We're actually gonna play Fervent too. By the way, go ahead.
Yeah, like Howard Stern used to complain that after talking for 4 hours or 5 hours, he didn't want to see anyone in the hallways. He didn't want to deal with anyone but it is mentally draining. I know, but then you feel like such an idiot because there are people that are doing hard manual labor for double the time. So I can't complain to anybody about this.
No,
I just need a little break every now and then,
Totally. It's yes. My normal job is probably 1,000 times more quote draining than certainly this should be, right? Okay, so we read this? Yes, we did. All right, so we'll take a break. So we're gonna have a few minute break
we can read a few more. I feel bad.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm just saying, after I do want to respond to these. Otherwise, it's not in the same time context.
All right. So at Andrea Patterson says, Patterson85 sends 499 says, do you think Ryan Nagel would have lied about what he saw if not for Heather and Ricky being there? It's a great question. You know what? I honestly can't tell you that Ryan and Julie have talked about it. I wouldn't be surprised if Julie hasn't told a soul. Not her parents, not her brother. I have a hard time believing that Ryan Nagel would have testified in opposition of his sister, that he would have done anything to directly undermine her, because it's clear that he's going to defend his sister, right? He just is. That's the kind of person he is. But at the same time, I think he was pretty direct. Now, I haven't fully analyzed his testimony for deception. So I want to be clear. I'm saying this without having done a full analysis of Ryan's testimony. But from what I can tell, he pretty much confirms either, Ventano or Maxon. So I don't see any obvious deception, but I don't think that Julie and probably Sarah Levinson are talking about this with anyone. I really don't.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny because Emily C's in love with this guy Ryan Nagel. Like, she's really attracted to him. Not love, like she doesn't know him, but he's very. That's the one guy that she always refers to.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, and it's weird how genetics works, because a lot of times I could see you and your sister are related. I can't see Ryan Nagel and Julie Nagel being related at all.
Or the other
at all.
Or the other brother. Have you seen the other brother?
No.
You haven't seen? Yes, you did. You have. You know the guy in the maybe we'll play it. You know the guy in the video in front of D&E Pizza with Meredith O'Neill that's poking her?
Yes.
That's their middle brother.
What?
Yeah.
That guy's such an asshole too.
Yeah.
Wow. Those three are related?
Yes.
That can't be
those
the
three-
same parents biologically.
I know. It doesn't seem
It
like
can't
it,
be.
right?
Yeah. I mean, we're just speculating, but yeah, it can't be.
I know.
Wow.
They
That's
are.
crazy.
They are all siblings. Those are her two brothers. Is his name Sam? Might be Sam. His name might be Sam. I have to double check that. But
Did that video give you flashbacks of when you moved back to Massachusetts?
No. Well, I don't. Did I move back to Massachusetts? You mean like as a child?
When you got as a kid.
So I didn't move back. I mean, we moved there. I was born and raised in New Jersey.
Sorry, moved there. Right.
Moved there. Yes. So, but yes, it is certainly familiar. Just like you were saying.
I feel like your crowd was a bunch of derelicts. Like your crowd in Massachusetts. Like you were saying, like the parents had fucked up issues or divorce or single parent.
Most of them.
Not say that's I don't know you at all. I like to judge people.
Well, just because my mom, my friends, she would let somebody like sleep there for a month. So I'd have a friend whose family was pretty screwed up, and we would take them in, and then they would stay with me for extended periods of time. So yeah, I mean, my sister can tell you more about this, but definitely my friends were a huge part of my life as a teenager, certainly, which would be an understatement, I think. Some of them went to college with me, the whole thing. Holly Johnson, VD6LV, since 1999. They claim to never have been in the basement. Both Julie Nagel and Brian Higgins made the mistake to say they went upstairs. Alan Jackson grilled Higgins about this. Jackson grilled Higgins about this. What do you think?
Higgins didn't say he went upstairs. Brian Albert said he went upstairs to Jack's room to show Higgins the plaques for Jack's Marines.
Marines, yes.
Now, I did see why they originally thought this. Because they knew that Brian Albert had said this, meaning Alan's theory was that the upstairs was technically the main floor and that they were in the basement. Because remember, they were told that John was killed in the basement, beat to death, hit with the weight room and all that shit. So they were trying to figure out how to get them into the basement. So their theory was that Brian Higgins was downstairs was downstairs in the basement killing John, and then they went upstairs to the main room. This is a major issue in their story that broke down, and this is why it took all of us in this community to analyze everything. And then you finally see the lying that's going to occur. I think the lie was there to pull them apart from the regular group when they're dealing with John's body.
Right. Correct. Yep. That's exactly right. The lie was definitely there to try to give a rationale for why Higgins and Albert are separate from everybody else. So I think they actually were together the majority of the night. They also at one point must have brought Nicole in because they both are, everybody also reiterates that Nicole might have been there at some point too. But to me, the upstairs is not as important, except for the fact that, they're trying to claim that Chloe is up there, which is debatable, doubtful to me. She is very likely somewhere else in the house. I don't know where, but probably not up in Dad's room. I've never seen anybody keep their dog in a bedroom like that. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I would be very, very doubtful of that. And
well, I'll say this. We had a German Shepherd that was like that.
helpful.
It wasn't good with people, but we literally kept them outside, Sam. I don't know, like people don't do that anymore, but in like the 80s and the 90s, our dog never came inside, but he also would probably be aggressive towards people. He just wasn't able to roam the house. So yeah, I could see them being worried if the dog is aggressive to people, keeping them in a closed room. I don't see why that would be odd to people.
Right, but I'm thinking the basement. I mean, why would you put him up in the bedroom? It's a smaller space. At least in the basement, you have a place to roam around a little bit. It just seems like a strange place to, for whatever reason, keep putting the dog in the parents' bedroom.
I think that's where I believe them that they said Chloe slept in their room.
Slept in there, definitely.
Yeah.
Slept
so
in there,
might as well
definitely.
keep her up there as opposed to being in the colder basement. I don't think the physical restraints of the room are an issue. I mean, you should be crating a dog. In
I
theory.
honestly have not. I can't tell you because I haven't done any type of very serious analysis of. I know exactly what you're talking about, Holly Johnson. I know, and just like Loophole Lawyer said, I get completely why they theorize that, both Higgins slips up sort of and kind of says something about upstairs. And certainly Brian Albert puts them upstairs. But the question to me is, are they telling the truth? And I haven't examined it play by play to be able to say one way or the other. I think the other thing is, if there's deception around it, that very well may be. The question is, what's the truth? That's the problem with these folks. We know that so much of what they say isn't true, but what we don't know is what's true instead. And the reason why this video that I just put out is so, I don't want to say important, but the reason why I got over the hump, because normally I can say definitively this didn't happen, but I'm not sure what did instead, is because they leak it. It comes out what happened for real. That's the key with the video that I just released. We do learn that they are in the family room. We do know that we can be sure that Julie is so sure that her brother is there after Karen reads Lexus, that she sees John walk in. There's no other way to explain the certainty that she has about making that statement. At first, it seemed so odd. I kept thinking, why is she moving? Right? Why is Julie moving this to earlier? It doesn't make any sense. Like, why would she think that she saw Karen's Lexus before her brother? But now, in putting her testimony, seeing the whole thing, and adding Brian Jr. and all the other witnesses, it's like, oh my God, it makes sense. She must have just passed him. He must have walked in that door immediately before she walks out.
Yeah, something's hitting me now, because initially I just dismissed her inconsistencies as just her being large and drunk for whatever the reason, and not having an interest in any of this. But you're right. She either crossed paths with John, literally, or saw him coming in. She's the only one. No one else in that house had that opportunity. So I have to go back and analyze that. That's very interesting, because she literally left the house at almost the same time. We know that it's almost together. And then why is she saying that the car wasn't there? I just thought that she just didn't remember.
Well, I think she doesn't remember the car is there. She actually doesn't remember seeing the car because she wasn't attending to the car. She was looking at her brother and she was drunk, like you said. So I don't think she's lying about not seeing the Lexus. I just think that the only reason why she believes that the Lexus wasn't there then, and remember what I said about how strong belief is, especially in hindsight, right? It's going to completely override whatever memories you do have. So if she sees John walk in that house, then of course she believes that Karen left before that her brother pulled up. But it also speaks to the fact that she never spoke to her brother about it. And also another big tell, Jennifer McCabe almost immediately wants that text message from Julie Nagel from her brother. And the reason she'd want that is because she knows that John O'Keefe walks into that house at the exact time almost that Julie walks out. It would have given them the timeline that John would have walked in the house. That's why she's requesting it from Julie 2 days or whatever after the fact. I don't even think it was a full 2 days. I think it was 24 hours later.
All right,
Does that
can we
make
take
sense?
our break now?
Yeah,
Can we
let's take
our
a break.
halftime
We'll be back
timeout?
soon. It's our halftime timeout.
All right, cool.
Let me wait. Hold on. I am bringing up. We are going to take a look. Hold on. At you can step out, and I will. I will play Fervent for you guys as we take our kind of halftime break here. Hang on. Here we go. This is going to be awesome. We're going to listen to some some Fervent. It's pretty good stuff. Here we go.
I'm starting to get the hang of this streaming thing, so I might be here to stay. After all, I am a First Amendment guy. Karen Reed had her moment in the sun. I figure, why not make 2026 about me? Check it out. I got this soundboard. Look.
Damn, Chris, you're looking rough.
Sorry, wrong clip. Here we go.
Where my pizza at? I ordered 45 minutes ago.
All right, who fucked with my soundboard? Let's open up the phone lines, because that's why we're here. To listen to some perfectly sane people defend some alleged conspirators. All right, first one up, let's see. Let's go with someone with the handle Physics AG. Physics AG, you're on the line with Canton's favorite selectman. How we doing tonight?
Oh my God, I can't believe I'm here right now. Chris, I'm such a big fan. I've been following your career since Peter Berger, so I'm sorry if I come across flustered. I just want to say that I find it ridiculous that people actually believe that Brian Albert is capable of doing something so heinous. I mean, all you have to do is look at the waterfall footage, which I did on the Trial Channel, who does just incredible work, by the way, a master of their craft. But did you see how tenderly he was caressing Brian Higgins' ass? I saw that video and I was like, that's like when the light bulb went off for me. Like, that man is so gentle and so caring, and he couldn't hurt a fly. I mean, I'm a married woman, and I found myself like, man, why doesn't my husband touch me like that? Anyway, I do hope and pray that Colin can find the strength necessary to roll out of bed this morning. Have a great night, Chris.
Thank you for that. And yeah, I agree. See, guys? These FKR trolls, they think we're all just a bunch of caricatures. Nothing further from the truth. We are normal moms, we are normal dads, we are normal alleged conspirators. And our supporters are all perfectly sane people. So with that, let's take our next call. Actually, it's a video submission. Let's see what this well-adjusted person has to say.
Hey, kids, I'm back for just a minute. I got a message out there for you, Aiden Carney. All right, my message is this. Friggin' dude, I'm not taking a charge. All right? I'm not taking the charge. I'm not going to take a charge for you. I can't have it, but I'll tell you this. Prison's the safest place for you.
Hell yeah, dude. You go kill that mother. Disclaimer. We do not endorse physical threats of violence toward any witness in any legal matter, especially for that terrifying blogger known as Turtle Boy, who we still claim to be deathly afraid of. Thank you. All right, let's keep this train rolling. Next up, let's take a call from someone I've never seen before, actually. I'm curious to see what she has to say. Lemonly P? Is that it? Lemonly P, you're on the line.
First, I want to say that even though we at Drama Free is the Life for Me do not condone anything about this Spaces, we're actually really glad that you're doing it. After seeing Kerry Roberts on the Four Girls Room and hearing more about Jen doing some Inception level science in Kerry's brain, the more you guys talk, the better. Also, while I'm here, where do you all think the 47 taillight pieces were in Gallagher's leaf blower video? How come he didn't find one piece? Isn't it weird that he found a clear cocktail glass, but nothing else? And speaking of glass, where do you think that glass on Karen's bumper came from? You know, the one that didn't match anything else found at the scene? Do you think Proctor wants to come on the Spaces with us? Can one of you call him? And also, since the Commonwealth's medical examiner didn't think that John got hit by a car, what do you guys think happened?
Cut her off. I can't. I thought I could, but I can't. This is classic FKR, okay? They all do the same thing, which is list out a bunch of facts and relevant questions, and they expect us to just listen? It's delusional. You want to know what happened to Mr. Nebercracker? I got 2 words for you. No, it's not do it. It's Trooper Paul. Go back and watch his testimony, and when you do it on the Trial Channel. Want to review all the inconsistencies in our testimonies? Trial Channel is the place to go. Subscribe now. Unfortunately, I gotta dip out of here. My son has sustained yet another knuckle injury. But fear not, I have someone who's gonna take over for me. Someone all about facts and logic. A lot of people say that our streams are the cure for insomnia. They won't be saying that after this guy. He's the smartest guy I know. He writes like Shakespeare, but thinks like Trooper Paul. It's the anonymous Kevin Lenahan.
Hey, what do I know? I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a bartender. I wouldn't know. But one of the really cool things that's happening today is you can have an active dialogue with ChatGPT, and you can learn so much from these proceedings. And I'm also going to bring on Caroline Erskine. I'm going to bring her onto the show. We've always had respectful and insightful dialogue. So even if we don't see eye to eye, we can still have a meaningful discussion. Not like the Turtle Tots who just seem to attack and they just launch into these visceral attacks based on zero evidence. And that's because of their leader, the Turtle Boy himself, Aidan Kearney.
It's pretty funny to me how much people oh wait, sorry. Sorry. It's just pretty funny to me how much people can hate on Turtle Boy. I don't understand where the venomous hate comes from, but like, if you don't like somebody, just ignore them. But the fact that he has this whole like army of people that are out to like make their entire life hurting him is just insane to me.
I don't mind the hate, but when it comes to actually getting somebody arrested, which I don't know his details, but that's a huge issue, obviously, that is different than, I get a lot of hate, Sam. I used to get it when we first started, like 2017. I had my picture with my kid's social security numbers posted on Periscope and Twitter.
Really?
And and you couldn't get it down. I've had cops called to my apartment by High Pitch Eric. And then, I had deliveries and all that, but never had I've had an ethics complaint by Stuttering John Edward Melendez filed against me, and they accepted one of it after. And I know it's a joke after the fact, but yeah, of course, I think the ethics committee head was a huge Howard Stern fan, and then him and John are like yucking it up, and now John and I are good friends again. But it's just, I've had crazy things, but when it comes to getting arrested, to be able to influence local police, which I don't have because we have the New York City Police Department, they're not going to take your claim and say, oh yeah, you made this claim and you can get arrested for whatever the reason is. I mean, it's so hard sort of to get arrested around here anyway, unless you're really doing something bad. But point is, I don't know the details, but if someone's making a false allegation, did he already sue all these people already that made these allegations? Or is he waiting for the case to get dismissed?
As far as I know, he hasn't sued any of them, actually. But you know who will know? Someone who has a lot more insight onto Aiden's situation and the details. Miss Emily C.
Hello. Can you hear me? Am I on?
Such good timing. Hi.
Hi. Hold on a sec. I gotta fix
No, how come you get the good microphone with everyone else and then we get the echo?
No, I'm fixing it. Hold on.
Totally makes sense. I get it. These computers just switch your mics like, whether you're a willing participant or not.
The first time Emily and I did a show, she didn't realize that her camera was on. And
there she is. I'll take her off. There you go, Emily. I'm giving you a chance to get your situation.
Yeah, like it could have been more fun because she's always bullying me and I'm teasing her back, but like she's like bending over in front of the camera. I'm like, and she doesn't even know that I see her. And she may have been doing other things, not necessarily bad things. It was like, and then she realized going forward, you can actually block that from being displayed.
That's so funny. Poor thing.
I won't ever disclose what she did, but
that's hilarious. Okay, wait, I think we have her. Do we have her? Hi.
Yes. Can you hear me? Wait,
we hear you.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Hi.
good.
Sorry about
Hey,
that.
thank you for being our substitution.
No, I need to clear this up first. I don't like Ryan Nagel.
Oh, good.
And Sam, you
Okay.
believed him way too quickly. You need to not believe
I
anything.
don't know
that
if I
comes out of
believed
that
him. I was
man's
like,
mouth.
does she really?
No.
Wait, you're going to claim that you don't think Ryan Nagel's good looking?
No. I mean, like,
Sam, tell me
okay.
if she's lying. Let's say.
Of
not
all
ugly.
the witnesses who testified, I would say like he's on the better looking men. I think
So I'm just
Heather Maxson
picking
was
a
way
random
out of his
guy.
league.
I'm just picking a random guy and claiming that you think he's good looking from the trial. Okay,
Yes.
all right. Fair enough. Then I'll go through I'll get the receipts as you.
Well, here's the
turtle
thing
fans
about
will.
Ryan Nagel. Okay, so in comparison to, I think when I saw him on the street, it changed, it like retrospectively changed my perception of his level of attractiveness.
Why?
Because he wasn't as good as he was in the trial. We
Thank
had
you.
a very good impression of him in the trial where we were like, oh, he's like on the up and up. He's going to like do the right thing, like no matter what. And then we saw him on the street and we were like, oh, you're just one of them.
Oh, I
Right.
thought you meant you saw him privately on the street. He was in that video too?
Yes. Yes, he's there.
Okay.
Karma Dharma is right. Joe Paul is my favorite.
Oh,
Mine too.
my
I
God.
will never do a bad video on Joe Paul.
Oh, I've had somebody, I don't remember who they are exactly, but emailing me endlessly about not picking on him. And my whole thing with Joe Paul is I certainly am not picking on him, but the point is that the prosecution tried to use his argument as the reason that Karen Reed is guilty. Like, that to me is unforgivable, and I have to point it out.
Well, and obviously the chat is saying that Dr. Wolf is the actual hottest man who testified / hottest man out there.
I don't know. He was
And
kind of
that is
old.
true.
I mean, he does make a cappuccino.
I was kind of thinking like the good guys and the bad guys. Like the good guys are all cute to me.
So you're into
Yes,
those
I
old
would agree with you.
neurosurgeons?
We
like
No.
Dr. Wolf.
Yes, Dr. Wolf, not that one.
I feel like
Oh.
his wife is probably like my age.
Yeah,
He seems like one of those guys.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so, right? Because didn't he say he wakes up and he's like been married 40 years and he makes her cappuccino every morning? Didn't he tell us that?
Yes.
I don't know if he said 40 years, but he did say he makes his wife a cappuccino. But I was
Yeah.
picturing him with like a 27-year-old.
27-year-old.
Like,
That's so funny. You said the same age as me.
Yeah, you
That's
see-
hilarious.
yeah.
That is very funny. So couple of things. Hi, Miss
I've been
Emily.
listening.
How are you?
I've been
Okay.
listening. You've been in my ears the whole time.
Okay, so let's start with, because we have this little video that we're going to show. Let's start with the text messages with Colin and Allie. What's your take on the text messages?
What's my take is that I think they were they made them in Canva or something.
That's what I said.
I don't even
too.
think they did a screenshot. Like the fonts are all weird. I just don't think they should have been allowed in as evidence at all. Like to me, they're not even a point of discussion because I don't think any other judge would have allowed them. And I will say big picture, I feel like in general, I've been, from the very beginning, I've been like, I don't do theories because I don't think that we have enough. I think that they are withholding like the puzzle piece that we need to actually make a theory.
Yeah.
But I'm always happy to do it with you guys. But I've been focused way more now on the like police corruption side of this and like looking like into Tully. Like I just did like find and search in everybody's testimony for when they said the word Tully, and it is bananas. So that's like where my head has been at lately, which is Vince, why at 1:00 in the morning when I get like 17 text messages from you about what's happening at 12:21 or 12:24, I'm like, not now. I'm not bullying you. I'm just setting a boundary.
I admit that I'm very annoying. I annoyed Emily so much, and she legitimately said, I don't give a fuck anymore. Karen hit John, or John, she just doesn't care anymore to get me out of her life. I know I'm not annoying.
That's very funny.
Okay, because you two text in opposite ways, and I like Sam's way better because I know when the text is finished. Sam will text a very long paragraph, and I'm like, great, the paragraph is over, and now I'll read it all. Yours come in like 2 words at a time. What do you think about 12:21? Why do you think it's 12:21 and not 12:21? I'm like, when do I answer?
You're 100% right. Sam, I never actually saw someone do what you did with regard to your text message. So your text message is like so long, but now I realize at least you're only dinging someone once if you have a notification, where me, I would write that same one that you did in literally 30 or 40, and I actually changed the way I talk to people now based upon what you do. How'd you learn to do that?
She does voice text, right?
Yeah, I do voice text. Yeah.
Oh, that's all your voice?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, you broads love the yap during the day. My God, I can't believe that.
Yeah. That's what you have to do when you have like long fingernails, though, because I can't actually text that quickly. So it's sort of utilitarian.
Okay. So we're gonna get into this video.
Yeah. So let's play the video and let's get everybody's take on it. All right. Let me bring it up. Here we go.
And thank you, Emily, for being our relief pitcher for Mr. B.
Our relief pitcher.
Okay. Screen grabbed so quickly when you were talking about Sam's dad shaving his balls.
Oh my
Sam
God.
was just nodding along like it was a totally normal conversation.
He really did say that.
No, he does. And so here's the thing. Like I've been trying.
I did my research.
Week. Like Vince is like, asking me questions about my dad, and I'm like, but my dad isn't a normal person. Like, I don't know how else to communicate. I don't know how to tell people that without just saying that. Like, there's no other way to say it, but he's really not a normal. He's not normal. There's a reason why, like, he's the only person that has ever, gone from being a caller to, having a very successful career on like, the largest sports radio station in the world, because
that's so cool.
He's not normal. He's just not normal in any way. There's nothing normal about my father.
There's another person.
He lived every man's dream.
He has, correct.
What about Shuli Egar, Miss Samantha? You, not you. You and Shuli Egar called into the Howard.
I know who he is. Yes.
He worked in his department. He called into the Howard Stern show for 6 years, 7 years, and eventually got a job on the Howard Stern show. So besides your dad,
I don't know if it's the same, but there's something similar about it, I would think, right?
Actually, Shuli competed in a contest for the callers to win Stuttering John's job when he left, and he came in last place, but eventually was hired.
Well, so I didn't know that. It's a good story, though.
Are you sure you worked there?
I definitely did, but I was preoccupied by the 6 a.m. Jägermeister and the porn stars and like half naked G-strings, and it was a pretty intense experience. All right, here we go. I'm gonna play this.
Wait, Sam, Julia just said that your dad was mentioned on Boston Sports Radio this morning.
Yes, I'm sure he was. He's he's a frequent flyer on Boston Sports Radio when it is Patriots or Red Sox and they play any of the New York teams. That's how come I'm pretty sure that Chris Albert knows who he is. All right, here we go. Ready?
What if he was on when you had walked
Allie
into
McCabe, MC.
Oh my God. It was bad enough that it was on, period, let alone to have my dad be on. Oh my God. All right, here we go.
Could you please state your name and spell your last name?
Allie McCabe, MCCABE.
And do you recognize that, man?
Yes.
And what do you recognize that?
This is from my phone, my text messages.
Objection, that has to be heard.
Okay.
Get your asses up here for a sidebar.
Your Honor, I'm objecting on multiple grounds. One is that this is rank hearsay. It's being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. Secondly, and equally important, is that these screenshots are unreliable. We don't know that they are what they purport to be. In other words, there are times listed there, but again, being offered for the truth of the matter asserted, which by an iPhone can be changed very easily by going into settings. So we don't have a forensic extraction of the phone. The police did not ask to actually take her phone and confirm that those times are actually accurate. They chose not to do that. Given that her phone is gone now, they robbed us of any ability to challenge those times through forensic methods. So I believe these are inadmissible in the form that they are in. If the court is inclined to overrule my objection, I would ask for a voir dire to be done before these are admitted.
Okay, what do you say, Mr. Lally?
Your Honor, what I say is that the witness on the stand is a participant in the conversations and can authenticate those conversations under Purdy. Secondly, I would say as far as any questions that counsel has to them, go to the weight and not the admissibility.
How long of a voir dire do you need?
10, 15 minutes.
All right, I'll give you a short voir dire.
Your Honor, if I may, just for the sake of not coming back up, I also intend to introduce those two. They are also screenshots that she took for photographs of Colin Albert from February 11th. Essentially, what these are two separate photographs from the defense that show the Alberts' home. She was present during this event, so she can authenticate that's what Colin Albert looked like on February.
Who is the one?
That's Nicole Albert.
All right, so we will have a voir dire on it.
You're also aware that
Can you stop
it
that
is
for a
possible
second?
to change the timestamp on.
As much as it kills me to say this, the channel that produced these videos, your friend, the trial channel, that must have been so hard in terms of getting that audio to be.
She's
the way
amazing.
It is.
Just be
I
nice
know.
to her from now on.
Yeah, I'm being nice. I said it kills. I don't have anything truly against her. Yeah, so yes, I just wanted to say that. And it is interesting. What the judge is basically ruling on is saying that they can come in as evidence, but the defense gets to attack it. So if the defense had a legitimate way to attack that these are actually not legit, then you could do it. What I found from the person that we use is that screenshot that I showed her showed that it was printed from a PDF printer from the phone, and that's just the way it comes out. And there's other things obviously involved. So my initial interpretation was wrong with regard to these. But that does not mean it doesn't mean that you couldn't have changed the time and then printed them, right? So it doesn't say that they're real. It just says that the printouts are not necessarily doctored. It's easier, she said, just to change the time and then print them out if you're going to fake it.
Yeah. I just feel like it was weird that they, like, Julie Nagel had that screenshot from Ryan too, and it's like they didn't print that out and make a big deal about that. This just felt like such a desperate move. Like
true.
It feels like if it really was real, they could have had said like, oh, I remember that I had a text, or I know that because I checked my phone. I had, like, it just felt like they were trying so hard to stamp this with this screenshot. But also, I agree with you that the attack that Yannetti took by saying, did you know you can go into settings and change the time? It's like, Yannetti, stop. We're not all like playing Candy Crush and trying to get extra lives. Like, no, this is not the move.
That wasn't what they did. But it was to point out, though, that I think it could be doctored so easily, right? And without having the metadata or the original or the actual cell phone, how else do you do that? I think that actually was a really tough position. How else can he point out that these could be doctored without just speculating and, like, you know, you edited this on Canva or whatever.
I mean, I feel like that's why anything from technology at this point needs to be backed up with metadata, period, end of story. Like that picture of Colin that you just showed, that could have easily been flipped. And if like the woman had a ring on, they could easily just touch up and take the ring off and and then just say, oh yeah, what you see right there is his right hand, and really it's his left hand. You just need an additional level of security when you're in a trial where somebody's life is on the line and you're admitting any type of technology-based evidence.
Yeah, and the thing that is going on here is they're putting a lot of time and energy into this and trying to prove that Colin was the culprit, yet we're really ignoring Higgins in this first trial, which is insane to me, but it's what it is. So yeah, this was important to them to not have it go in because, yeah, it doesn't look proper, but unless you can figure out a way to contradict what an expert would say that this is legitimate or not, then people are going to believe it. I see it's 12:10. Emily, did you ever get the 12:23 text message from Julie, from Ryan to Julie? Because I've never seen it.
They never showed that screenshot. That's what I'm saying. Is like, Julie gave Jen that screenshot, but that was never turned over as evidence. Almost like that was not something they were trying to like stamp. Like she wanted to know it for the story, but I don't know that they were like wanting to hang their hat on that the way that they needed this one.
But it's important though, because people have referenced this 1223 and Yannetti referenced it also, but I haven't qualified it with the actual, even if it's fake, an actual text message.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't ever admitted into evidence.
Gotcha. All right.
It's super important though, because this is where, I'm starting to think it's less important. Now I'm just using a window. I'm saying sometime between 1221 and 1224, because if Heather Maxson is right and she loses sight, if that SUV is sped up ahead of the truck for whatever reason, for long enough for John O'Keefe to jump out and run into that house, which is what I now speculate entirely happened, then Julie Nagel comes out literally within maybe a minute of John going into the family room. And to me, that makes perfect sense. That timing makes perfect sense.
You have to be careful though, because during that time frame, if you're claiming that it actually occurred that way, John has to ascend 3 flights. And even if you want to claim that the first from the car to the door is 1, he still has to go up 2 more flights. All the while, Jen McCabe is calling and texting him saying, "Where are you?" So it just doesn't make sense mathematically.
Tell me, wait. Jen is before that time, though. She's calling before that.
No, it's during and after.
No, they talk before that, and then she's calling after.
I don't believe in that.
She's calling after, but not before, right?
They talk. She calls before, and they talk before, and
I thought
then
that was
she's
12:18.
They took at 12:14 and 12:18, and then she calls again, and it's answered at 12:27, and she's texting him throughout the time. Here, pull forward. So, but we know for sure John's phone is, in theory, if you're claiming he's in the house, it went up 3 flights of stairs, and that house is impossible to go up 3 straight. So he has to go up and down 1, and then up 2 more at some point. All the while Jen's texting him and looking out the window. Because the 3 flights stopped before 1224. I don't believe in any of this, but I'm just saying that's what you would have to contend with.
So you're saying he's not in the car anymore, is what you're saying?
I'm not saying this. I'm saying he is in the car.
No. In this theory, let's speculate though. You're saying if he's not still in the car at that moment, because of the flights, it means he'd have to be in the house, descending and ascending stairs.
Ascending. Right? Remember, I've learned that the phone only records when you go up. So
it's like your health data. It's like you don't get
Literally.
exercise going down the stairs.
And I didn't know any of this stuff. I was speculating a lot too, so I had to learn this. But with a house like that, assuming he didn't go into the basement, even if you started the basement, you can only go up 2 flights, and then you have to come down and then back up again. This is all before 1224.
So what American Dreamer just said is what makes the most sense to me, because there's something about Colin saying, and then I went up 3 flights of stairs at the exact time. Like he's putting himself, I got home at 12:20 and I went up 3 flights of stairs at 12:21. He was like so clear about that in his testimony that I feel like there was something where it was like John's phone went flying, Colin thought it was his or whatever, grabbed it, ran up the stairs. Like there was a commotion. I don't know what exactly the commotion is. I'm not a degenerate, but
right. There's a reason why he's pointing that out, is what you're saying.
Yeah, like there's something about Colin's phone going up 3 flights of stairs at the exact time that John's phone goes up 3 flights of stairs that they needed to make clear.
Yeah. And Sherry D is saying that these 4, I agree. My attention is starting to be more focused on these girls, because I was asking, and I'm not sure if you had heard me earlier, Sherry D, but I've been asking, why is Colin at the house? And to me, hanging out with Sarah and Julie just doesn't make sense. So maybe the girls are there later then. I mean, that's a very, very real possibility, is that these women are there later. And just because they don't want to incriminate, more people than they have to, they're trying to get those women out of the house earlier.
Well, you actually bring up a better point that I didn't think about, is that it was Brian Albert Jr. with 5 girls. I would go there if I was 17, like older broads. I would make the trip through a blizzard for that.
I mean, if he's friends with them,
Initially.
maybe, but I
Friends
don't
or
know.
no friends. If I know my gay cousin has 5 girls over, I like those odds.
I don't think Colin's hurting for attention. So,
I never had that.
Wait,
problem.
also one other thing Colleen just said, just like Allie finding the dog in the street, Olivia Nile confirmed that the dog story was true.
Yeah.
They like vetted that. So I just always feel like I need to clear that up because it is such a random, like weird tidbit of information that has nothing to do with anything. And it does like lend itself to conspiracy where it's like, oh, well, you were like seen with a dog in the car earlier that night. But I guess she really did just want everybody to know that she was a good citizen and like rescued an old lady's little white Pomeranian.
Oh, yeah. To me, that was so clear. It was so obvious that that was honest. And it was the only thing she said that was honest. And it was clear that that story was thrown in to verify that she was like a good kid.
Mm-hmm.
That old lady's the true villain. Someone finds a dog and it's like, oh, can you drive it to my house? You're like, well, who the fuck is she, that old?
Well, the way that she said, though, the way that was one of the reasons why it was so obviously true, because she's like, oh, can you please bring my dog back then? Like, you kidnapped my dog was the implication. I thought that was funny and made sense to me when I heard her say it.
My next door neighbor has 3 Yorkies that she lets just like run around their front yard. And twice I've seen people go over and try to like rescue them. And I'm like, oh no, those are her. No, they're fine.
Oh my God. That same, I'm not even going to get into this, but my sister had a cat. And in her neighborhood, people did not understand that cats could go outside. So eventually they gave up because people kept taking these cat and like absconding with the cat. It just became more than, it was like useless to even have the cat. It was insane. So funny. Okay, we'll keep playing. Here we go.
Any individual message, correct?
No, I'm not aware of that.
You are aware that you can change the date and time of any photo in your photo app, correct?
Nope. All right, so let's bring the jurors back in.
Your Honor, before the jurors come back in, may I just retrieve the exhibits?
Yes, but I'd like to see counsel at sidebar while they're coming in.
Get your asses up here for a sidebar.
So what you did during the voir dire, you can do with this witness. You just taught her something, I guess. So she said, now I know. So it's couched in terms of either pre-voir dire or post-voir dire. That's fine. If it's not, Mr. Lally is going to get leeway to then say that you questioned on those things.
Yes, I understand. Of course.
Thank you.
Of course, back in session, please be seated. I apologize profusely. I just need one more minute. I'm so sorry.
Get your asses up here for a sidebar.
Your Honor, the only thing I was going to bring up, I understand the court's ruling. We object, but I accept it, obviously. With regard to the photos, Your Honor, there is no need to have that date underneath the photo itself.
I didn't even notice that it was on there.
I am just asking that be cropped off. If he wants the photo in, she can testify to the date. That's hearsay. That should not be part of the photo.
Do you care?
What did he mean the date, not from the timestamp?
I don't care.
What date
But
is he
again, I mean,
talking about?
she was there for it.
It's the date on the picture, right?
Yeah, the date on the photo, because the date is important. And Emily pointed out to me so much later that they had a picture of Colin's hand in between the time John died and the bloodied picture, which would then, if it's authentic, disprove that the bloodied knuckles had anything to do with John. So the date was on the picture. They show it to Allie on the stand and it still has the date on it. They cropped it out for the jury, but then Allie testifies that it was on that date because she was looking at it. So that was the issue that they were talking about here. I'll be right back.
And then I was telling you that they only wanted to show the picture of Colin's bloody knuckles, not to say that it happened the night with John, but to point out that he had been in fights before. Just to like because he had been on the stand saying like, only with my brothers. And then they were like, well, what about these bloody knuckles? So it wasn't to say that it happened that night.
Right. Yes. Of course it wasn't. Because it was way too long after, right?
Yeah.
It was like 3 or 4 weeks after or something. It was
no really? Because when I watched that, I thought the only point would be is that he was involved. Why else would you show cuts? I mean, it's sort of it's very prejudicial to use that, but he's not on trial, so I guess you potentially could let it in, but you wouldn't want to convict someone based upon a subsequent injury to a hand and then somehow tie it to the original murder.
They were
All
just
right, I
more
gotcha.
trying to get him to say that he had been in a fight before.
Right. Yeah.
And he just
he's a
kept being
fighter.
like, nope. Yeah.
I haven't seen any evidence that any of these guys are fighters, but especially not Colin, the way he was slap fighting with whomever.
Okay, hold on. Let's keep playing.
And can testify to the date that the photo was taken. That's what I just said, as long as it's not on the exhibit itself.
Okay, so we'll remove it from the exhibit. Is it on a slide that you probably are going to put up on the screen?
It is, but I can advise Ms. Gilman, she can put it on the screen, on the laptop, and enlarge it just for the photo, and then somehow, yes, as long as it's not visible to the jury, and we can redact it afterward.
Or one person at a time. She can do that. I'll give you a minute to let her do that.
And what did Colin say at 11:50?
You can get me now if easier. Okay, I am driving people home now.
What did Colin respond to that, and what time did he respond?
He responded,
Oh my God.
word, getting me after.
This is just from a different night.
KK, okay.
This is from a different night.
Here that you texted, what time was that? You know, screenshot.
12:10 a.m.
Right. So this is just, these exchanges are from a different night. That's all it is.
Well, you're saying
They're
that,
from a
but you don't
different
have
night.
anything to prove that.
Absolutely. Loophole lawyer. I love you,
Well,
dearly.
no, if you make a
You gotta go back.
representation-
You gotta go back.
I get what you're saying. You're saying it's from a different night.
Go back
But
and watch. Go back and watch her testimony. Like, it is clear to me, 100% clear, that what Emily C. was saying about that story with the dog was true. And nearly anything else that she says is not true, including Colin Albert will not testify that he got into her passenger side of the car. She can't tell you anything about what that driveway looked like, how he walked out, what the house looked like. Like, the fact, it is so clear that they are both lying. It is.
He didn't know if
beyond
he got in
clear.
the front seat or the back seat.
Right. He couldn't tell
and
you.
he didn't even know what metadata was.
Well, he's not
That's
supposed
that's
to
such
know
a
what
lie.
metadata is. But how could he
I
not?
know I'm just joking, Sam.
How does
I know
he
he
not
wouldn't know it.
think about it, though? Like, this is the most important night of their lives, really, right? I mean, whether or not Colin was involved, a police officer died the night before. He recognizes that this is, like, huge in their lives, right? He doesn't remember whether or not he got into his cousin's passenger side.
Yeah, it's a good point. I just don't. Unless you're
not
completely
true.
not involved and you don't know what the hell's going on, then yeah. But I get what you're saying. But I didn't care about that. I'm just saying when you make a representation that this is from another night, it could be. But unless you have something to substantiate it, I don't want to take it into account for my analysis.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but my point is that's how easy these two are cousins. They're really close. This could be from any night throughout the entirety of their lives. And the fact that they're unwilling, and this is the part that makes me crazy. I was saying this to you yesterday, Vince, that look, if my kid is being accused of murder at all, if there's even a discussion, I am going to get affidavits, witnesses, metadata. I am going to be calling Google, any company in the world that can help me put together a binder of how my child is 100% verifiably innocent. Here's the proof. And we never get any of that from any of them. Ever. Never. Ever. That freaks me out.
And like what I would say about this screenshot is if I was a juror, like the jury instructions that jurors get is like you weigh the credibility of the evidence. So like you weigh the credibility of the witnesses, you weigh the credibility of the experts, you decide what to give weight to and what to put to the side. And like Ronnie put everything to the side except for the fact that like they were all there. But
Right. So
but
true.
for me, this would be a piece of evidence that I would say I don't feel comfortable considering that, even if it were real, even if like whatever. I without an additional like celebrate extraction metadata, something to back up that is real, I wouldn't give any weight to that. And so then you're just left with the rest of their story. And when you start doing the math on like 12:10 and Chris leaving at 12:14 and he's already asleep by the time he walks home, and it for me just doesn't add up. So
Right.
that would be reasonable doubt. And Colin
You're
wasn't on
100%
trial.
right.
Chris wasn't on trial. So we're
Right.
not
Right.
getting like a full picture of their night.
No, we're not.
And all you're left with is like, that to me would be enough to say Karen's not guilty. And then I would be left with like, but maybe they are. What else would I need to find out to like go down that rabbit hole?
Yeah,
100%. And I wouldn't have known as a juror. I didn't know last week that this is what comes out if you print it out a certain way. Lally didn't have to put on an expert to explain that. But to Emily's point, if you're going to use something like this and you need to rely upon it, Colin wasn't on trial. But if you do, you have to have an expert explain to me how this comes out the way it does. Because when I look at this, I don't believe this at all. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't look like it's legit. And they never put on an expert to explain it. I only learned it last week by having our expert go through and explain to me, because it gets flattened as a PDF, and those little markings at the top is what she was referring to. And then the spacing, none of this was explained to us. It didn't have to be because Colin wasn't on trial, but I'm 100% agree. Someone would have to explain this to a juror. And this goes to any attorneys out there. If you're going to use something like this, a screenshot that's printed this way, you have to have someone back it up. Otherwise, I would never believe this.
And especially juxtaposed with like on the screen seeing Karen and Higgins text, like a full text thread where it looked like the real screenshots that we're used to seeing, and it like all made sense. And I guess we did see a third version, because then we also saw Jen celebrate, where it was like those very weird, like the thing that Matt McCabe couldn't see.
Yeah, the bubbles. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Karen and John's texts, were they showing up as like traditional screenshots? Weren't they showing up as screenshots?
Traditional text. They had the actual text, the pictures. Not like this. Nothing was like this besides this.
Why would that be?
Because they had access to her phone. They had John's phone and her phone, so they can get it from John's phone. And just the way they exported it.
Why was Jen's weird?
It's a good question.
Yeah, it's all about how whoever exports it. But if you have the phone, you can do it in a better way than this.
I don't know. It's a good question.
But then why would John's and Jen's look different if the prosecution extracted both of them?
Yeah, but they didn't extract this. They extracted.
No, but I'm just saying, outside of this, like now I'm just wondering why those were done. And that goes back to like what Aussie was saying about Jen handed over an extraction, not handed over her phone.
Jen handed over her phone that was extracted.
Jen handed over an extraction of her phone.
How'd she get an extraction?
Matt McCabe.
What are you kidding? Matt, it's his job.
No, then I totally missed. So Jen never actually handed over a phone, but an extraction that's put onto some form of a disc, and never the phone.
Right.
So and there's on her extraction, there's no like gray key password. Like
I understand that, Emily. But did she literally, are you just guessing that she didn't hand over the phone, or you know for certain? Because this is not hard to find out. Either you handed over your phone or you didn't.
There's very real evidence that suggests she did not hand over her phone. She handed over the extraction. And Matt and Matt's brother, this is what they do. Like cell phone security is their job. So he definitely would know how to do an extraction.
I hope Matt's brother is the tech wizard and not Matt somehow.
I don't know. Matt does something right? He's making millions of dollars, I think, from these big contracts.
Plus he landed a hot wife.
He landed something. All right, let's finish this guy. And we have a bunch of things to
If anything, is Colin respond to
answer.
your text?
He responded at the same time saying, okay.
Were these also screenshots that you provided to troopers of the state police in August of 2020?
Yes. They were taken February 11th
Look at this.
at the Alberts, Nicole and Brian's house.
Objection.
No, I'm going to let her.
So why did they scribble at the face so creepily?
I know. So funny.
2022. One of Nicole
Darth
and Brian's
Vader.
sons were coming home from their Marines, so there was like a welcome home party with family and friends. Colin and my auntie Coco.
Yeah.
Where in the house this photograph was taken?
I believe they call it their library. Maybe it's the room in the back.
You did not turn over that screenshot to any law enforcement official.
No, I was never asked.
All of 2022, no investigator ever approached you to say, can I have a copy of that screenshot, correct?
Correct.
With regard to the timestamp on those messages, the conversation about I'm here, I believe gave the time 12:10 a.m., correct?
Correct.
Are you aware how easy it is to change that time?
No.
Are you aware that all you need to do is go from settings to general, and then
Looking for an
there's a date
objection.
and time that you can alter?
Objection.
Are you aware of that?
No, I didn't know that was the thing.
You are aware that you can change the date and time of any photo in your photo app, correct?
Nope.
When you go to your iPhone, there's a little I for information. I think it's for info or information. All you need to do is click on that.
Look at her
and
face.
Click on
Trying not to
and
let him
then
get her
to
mad.
General, and then you get a pop-up from the bottom that gives you the choice.
This
to
may have been a little
go into
edited.
settings. Next to that is the word adjust, and then you get a pop-up that gives you the choice to
Also, her
click
face
on
right there,
that,
I can tell she's good at
and
sports.
you can
That's like her
change the
game.
date.
She has her game face
Next
on.
to that date and time is
It
the
helped
word
her a lot
adjust,
through this
and
testimony.
that's all you have to click on, and you can change the time, and it's that easy.
You can
Did
see
you
her
know that?
controlling her breath.
Here we
Oh,
go,
no.
girls.
Oh no.
I'm not allowed to. I'm not allowed to engage with them.
We are so much
Why?
hotter than the free Karen Reed broads.
That intro cracks me up so much. It is so funny.
Trying to figure out the timeline of the Lexus. This is a case where it's an either or. Either that evidence was planted, or if it wasn't planted, Karen did it. Because the taillight pieces were matched. If it turns out that it was
Well,
impossible to
kind.
plant evidence, not because Michael Proctor is a saint,
CUNT.
but because there was simply no time to do it, no opportunity to do it, then there's no cover-up. And
Wait a
then the
minute.
vehicle ends up at the
Whoa,
Sally
wait a
port,
minute,
and I didn't even know.
Wait, well, I have to call timeout on this. Why is he saying that there's no time to do it? Because there absolutely is time to do it. I mean,
That's why I wanted Emily to be in here. Let him finish the
I
time
am here. I
frames.
just can't engage with the girls.
What do you mean?
I'm not commenting. I can't say anything.
It's Tuesday,
Being
and
so
this
mean
is
to
Kevin.
me.
I didn't know
They are?
Kevin.
Who's being mean to you?
Julie Carpenter's being mean to her. But yeah, I don't.
On
Julie,
text?
All of them.
I don't know. She
Yeah,
sent you
and
text
then
message.
No, and I just said to, well, they were like, well, not them, but they doxed me. And then like my mother-in-law was getting calls, and like I was getting weird text messages, not from them, but like from their people. And then like everything I post, they're like in the comments. And finally I was like, can we just go back to our separate corners of the internet and like leave each other alone? And then they were like, you started. And so then I said, starting now. And that was like 10 minutes ago.
Okay, got it. All right.
I'm not engaging with them, but
Exactly
I can talk
what
about Kevin
time-
Lenahan.
Okay, got it.
Until the trial. But I knew around September of 2023 what time it left Dighton in rush hour during a blizzard. Absolute earliest that it could have got to the Sally Port would have been, if everything went well, 5:15. At that time, we knew the CERT team had to be setting up. We knew WBZ News was, they filmed it, so they must have been there early enough.
you go
You know,
back
those trucks
to
get
when
there
he
really
starts
early to
talking?
set up their filming. And the main
And Emily too. He references the time it leaves Dighton. I know you know this, and I don't even know what time that would be. And I know there was
4:15?
discrepancies in the reports, but his premise is going to be that because the car, actually he says the car was under surveillance the entire day. He even includes potentially someone getting to the vehicle before it goes to the Sally Port, whether Karen or someone else that someone could have got to the vehicle first. But I'm focusing on when the vehicle gets to the Sally Port.
Right.
And he's going to say that because of the time frame which he'll give you, there wasn't enough time to physically possibly get from. Okay, so that's what you're going to hear.
Okay, it's 4 minutes. Just so everybody understands, though, because I've driven this. It's a 4-minute drive, right, to the police department. Okay, just being clear.
And also just one other thing that and I know there was a blizzard, so they were probably at this point it actually was snowing, so they were driving slower and more carefully.
Right.
But Dighton to Canton, so they left at 4:16, they pulled in at 5:31. That's longer than it should take, like a lot longer. Like that's like
You're
a
saying you left
45-minute
Dighton, and Dighton is the location of what?
Dighton is Karen's parents' house.
At
So
4:16?
They pulled away at 4:16.
With the tow truck.
With the tow
Gotcha.
truck. Like her Lexus on the tow truck. And then Yuri and Proctor were behind the tow truck driving. And granted.
So what time do they get to the Sally Port, according to you?
They say 5:30, but that there is some very shady stuff happening in the.
But like
in that
legitimately
video.
that you can prove if you had to. What time?
No, that's the timestamp on the
5:30.
Sally Port Blur Fest.
5:30 exactly.
Yes.
31.
I'm sorry. Tuesday is just so beautiful. I get so distracted. You aren't guys. Corey and I get distracted by beautiful women. 5:30.
Do you know every Tuesday I get a text message from Vince that says today's the best day of the week?
and she hates me so much, which is so
my
funny.
God. I
And they
can't.
try to
No, I
take down my
don't.
channel and business. Not you,
she
them.
All right, wait. So I'm going to play this, okay? Because this is just not true. I mean, just
Well,
patently false. Just
In
so
fairness
we know,
to Kevin, let's just hear him out because we want to have him on the show and not attack him, but like this is
I'm
what
not,
he's
no,
saying.
I'm not attacking.
Yeah.
I'm just arguing.
And
that,
I did
like,
cut
this
out the
isn't
part
true.
where he said throughout the day potentially Proctor could have got to it, but he's saying that wasn't possible because it was on the Ring camera, things like that.
Okay, let's hear.
Can I
Trying to
add a
figure
video?
out-
Okay, wait. I'm going to put a video down there, Sam, for after that's about the search. Because,
Yes.
like I said, this is the part I've been obsessed with. And I think this answers what he's talking.
Okay.
Perfect.
There's no time.
Okay, perfect. We also have to get to everybody's chats. Okay, hold on.
The timeline of the Lexus. This is a case where it's an either or. Either that evidence was planted, or if it wasn't planted, Karen did it. Because the taillight pieces were matched. If it turns out that it was impossible to plant evidence, not because Michael Proctor is a saint,
CUNT,
but because there was simply no time to do it, no opportunity to do it, then there's no cover-up. And then the vehicle ends up at the Sally Port, and I didn't even know exactly what time until the trial, but I knew around September of 2023 what time it left Dayton in rush hour during a blizzard. Absolute earliest that it could have got to the Sally Port would have been, if everything went well, 5:15. At that time, we knew the CERT team had to be setting up. We knew WBZ News they filmed it, so they must have been there early enough. Those trucks get there really early to set up their filming. And the main taillight piece is found at 5:45, 3 feet down. It just didn't make sense that into that environment, somehow somebody could have pried pieces off the taillight while it was in the Sally Port and raced to the scene. And then, of course, it became even more impossible during the first trial once we learned that the truck arrived even later than that.
We didn't run the truck arrive later than that, but okay. All right, so I'm shutting this one down. I can't with Tuesday.
Because this answers that video down at the bottom that I just put answers about them having time. And also I want to find.
All right, so to be clear, Kevin said that the SUV gets there at 5:15. You're saying it's 5:30, but the first piece isn't found to 5:45. Is that correct?
They said 5:41, but also it's like, I don't think, it doesn't sound like anybody had like their watch out.
No.
I think that's a
They did
time
not.
that.
And if
Which, like, why didn't they just say 5:15?
If Brian Tully
Kevin
tells
said
us he
5:15.
arrived there at 5:30, right? Just think that if Brian Tully tells us that he arrived from the Canton PD to this search at 5:30, we know that it's probably at least 10 minutes before he actually did.
Well, okay, wait, play this because that's already a lie.
Okay. I mean, clearly. All right.
O'Hara,
I'm going. Yes. Very aware.
Yes, I received a call from Lieutenant Tully. He called me at 2:32 p.m. We were guided by Lieutenant Tully's information he was able to provide for me. Because Lieutenant Tully had already arrived on scene, he was technically the third member of the state police on scene.
He ultimately, at some point, did direct you to a location behind you, which you were not currently focused on, toward the flagpole, the fire hydrant, you said.
Yeah, I wasn't focused on any area at that time, sir, no.
You marked...
Is this your video?
Only 8 to 10 feet without finding any other evidence.
Wait, Sam, did you see
Lieutenant
that
Tully
part?
and I had a discussion. I
heard
think we determined
Watch
we
his
found everything
face
we were
when
going to
he
find
says
that
that.
evening.
You examined
back and-
or studied
so-
the depth...
He's talking about
We
how
were guided by...
Tully tells Kevin O'Hara, go over by the front door, like parallel with the front door. And so he's facing this way. Tully's behind him at the flagpole. And then Tully's like, oh, over here. And Kevin's like, oh, yeah, he was in a spot that I couldn't see.
I had to turn around. And then they all turned their cruisers around because they needed lights.
And watch his face when he's like, he knows that it was fishy.
I mean, it's so fishy. Okay, here we go.
Yes, I received a call from Lieutenant Tully. He called me at 2:32 p.m. We were guided by Lieutenant Tully's information he was able to provide for me. Because Lieutenant Tully had already arrived on scene. He was technically the third member of the state police on scene.
He ultimately, at some point, did direct you to a location behind you, which you were not currently focused on, toward the flagpole, the fire hydrant, you said.
Yeah, I wasn't focused on any area at that time, sir, no.
You marked.
We have to answer some of these questions. People like keep texting me that we're not.
Yeah, I know
responding.
we're going. Interesting. Let's. This is close.
10
Let's
feet
watch
without
the end.
finding any other evidence. Lieutenant Tully and I had a discussion. I think we determined we found everything we were going to find that evening.
Did you examine or study the depth of those items when they were found?
I did not, sir. Gave him a glance when our team members told us we found something, and then Lieutenant Tully took over documentation.
Also, did you see Tully when he's asked about that? He's like, no, Kevin O'Hara's in charge. I have, denies that he has any real authority involved at all. It's so absurd.
Emily, who were the two troopers that he was
Tully.
referring to before him?
Two of the CERT team members, just like
So they're randoms.
We
he
don't
does
know
say
that.
their name. No,
Okay.
those two they do.
Oh, the
It's
two
like-
that find the first piece?
No.
he just said two were there
people who
before.
arrive at the scene first.
Oh yeah, no, he goes
Um,
through everybody in the order.
Yeah,
they
there's
arrive.
like one guy who gets there at like 5:28, and another guy that gets there at like 5:31.
So to answer Kevin's question, though, is it physically possible, given his timeline? I would say, yeah. What is the issue at
Of course it's
5:30?
physically possible.
And then if you say even if the first piece is found at 5:41, it's not physically impossible to get there, even at your times, Kevin.
No.
And Kevin will come on and defend. I don't know if he knew exactly what the times were, but he was saying even if there was a stuntman, Tom Cruise, Batman, it wouldn't be able to occur. I don't think that that's what the evidence establishes objectively.
Absolutely not.
To me, the other big question for them when they say those things is, hold on, I'm putting one more video.
What's your mother-in-law's phone number so we can harass her? Is that what the question?
Is Kevin, in this video right here, Corey's new leaf blower video, show me one piece of taillight. You can see that is all the place. Can you put that video up?
Oh, sorry.
Show me one piece of taillight there. There's 47, in Kevin's version of events, there is 47 pieces of taillight hiding under that. Show me one piece. And why can't they find it?
Because there's no
not there at
the
that point.
scene.
They found a clear glass. They see red blood.
It doesn't match the car.
That I would just want to hear from. Now he swears. This is funny. He says that.
Oh,
before.
sorry.
That's what I would want to hear them rationalize.
Yeah, well, he's saying that his thing is it's physically impossible. I'm saying that that's not true, meaning that you cannot get from the Sally Port to the location in the time frame, but you clearly can. If you're saying it's only 4 minutes to drive it, there is
it's
enough
really
time
close.
to have broken 4 pieces off and drove right to the scene. Kevin was saying, well, there were people around, there was the news reporting. Berkowitz can easily get past all those people, and it's so simple to plant 4 pieces of red taillight in the snow. And to Emily's
And
point,
the
where
shoe was
was it?
already
down.
planted. And the shoe was already planted.
I haven't even got to the shoe yet.
Yeah,
but
I mean, the
agree.
shoe I always thought the Albert family might have put out there. That was my theory.
Exactly.
That was always my theory, just because
Mm-hmm.
they would have had the shoe, right? We'll get back to it. Holly Johnson, VD6LV, sends $9.99. When Jan started showing so much reaction, when Julie started showing when she said Brian Albert came upstairs to let the dog outside, that indicates the guys were in the basement. I believe John was killed there. Could be. I mean, all I know for sure is that he goes into the house. I mean, I was so surprised to find that out from my analysis of these folks. I never even got past that. So I'm still not there. I think, Vince, you're working on that right now.
And this is the whole debate, right? Is did he go up or downstairs?
Yeah, and if you believe he got there at 12:24 and 34 seconds, then there is no flight change in his phone. That doesn't mean it's not him, but it's his phone.
Right.
I like
Emily?
that Coco and Chloe just said, you mean two right shoes? That's for the
I know.
Claire's chat.
Listen, a lot of people think that there's some sus with the two shoes. Now, I have not looked at it at all, so I can't
Yeah,
tell you.
I've just ignored the shoe for some reason. And I just haven't gotten.
I
there
just
yet.
Michael
haven't
Proctor
gone
did
into
not.
it.
That was the shoe was the smoking gun.
That makes when I hear that I go nuts because it's so obvious that you would have had to have been hit at such a high speed to be knocked out of your shoe. How does he not realize there's no bruise to support the being knocked out of your shoe?
Well, do you realize this? I was thinking today how, as much as you hate Proctor and Karen does, she has to thank him profusely because his language is probably what kept those two girls from not convicting her, even though it may have nothing to do with her actually being guilty or not. But if Proctor just didn't text this to those people and it wasn't found, Karen probably would be in prison right now. It's a lot harder to get clients out on appeal and then the subsequent trial than that. So sometimes you're grateful for these blessings that you get. You may think Proctor was a complete asshole, but if Proctor wasn't involved, you would thank him so much for calling her a cunt, saying all this because we needed that to at least buy us some time to get our hands more on the evidence, and that's what we got.
Actually, one of the jurors talked about O'Hara. Talked about how Kevin O'Hara was so overwhelmingly nervous that really
interesting.
Threw up a red flag for them, which is interesting because I didn't necessarily pick up on that during the trial.
Also, I will say if we're at the point of thanking Proctor, we've gone too far down the road because really Proctor had the ability to not bring Karen into this at all. And at 6:44 when he got that first phone call to actually do a real investigation and never put Karen in this position in the first place. So I don't know if we say thank you.
It's a good point. But if he was his investigation was sabotaged by people very close, and then we have to back it up to Brian Higgins is the one that killed him. If he didn't do that, Karen wouldn't be in the situation at all. So yeah, you can keep blaming.
Right, but Michael Proctor could have gone inside of the house and investigated like a police officer should, and then said, hey, who was here last night? Let's get the Google fencing that's not just Android phones and find out.
How crazy is that,
I will
by the
never
way?
disagree with you that it was a bad investigation, ever.
No, really bad.
Do you know that he did? Wait, do you know that he did request the geofencing for the correct thing first, and then he rescinded it and did it the wrong way on purpose?
No, but when you say geofencing, do you have to go, Sam, at 3 again?
Really soon after, by 3:15, I have to be
Okay,
off.
sorry.
So that's why I want to try to get these. Let's get these in. Yeah. Okay, so at Linda Richards, 520 cents, $9.99. I would feel so intimidated going up against these two in debate. Brilliant analysis on both your parts, and I love that they disagree. Keeps them sharp and having to defend their view. Thank you, Linda Richards, and I totally agree with you on that.
I go up against these two every day, so I understand what you're saying.
At Dominic Yaniero sends $5. Stellar. And Mierish, the educated and streetwise guy, collaborative analysis of the John O'Keefe catastrophe is knockout bang bang beyond measure. Oh, that's so nice. Thank you so much. Karma Dharma 8 sends $2. Sam, can Karen FOIA Brian Albert's arm injury records? That's a great question.
If not FOIA, forget FOIA, you can actually issue a subpoena for all that. Certainly can. It's easier just to go to his doctors and figure out exactly who he is, who his doctors were. During deposition, she'll be able to ask any questions. In a deposition, you can virtually ask anything, especially if it's related, and then you subpoena the records of the doctors that potentially have it. It's a lot easier than a FOIA request.
All right, wait a minute. So what you're saying is in a deposition, I can ask questions, but then after that, go and get the records to try to verify.
100%. Yes.
Oh, interesting.
That's exactly. And you're allowed to virtually ask anything in a deposition. I mean, I can literally ask, like, did you have sex with your husband last night? And it's not
It's like HIPAA doesn't apply. There's no like HIPAA
I was
rules
thinking that
in
too.
a deposition.
No, not at all. Not at all. This is a deposition, and especially if you're bringing the claim, but because they may have a claim too if they're going to claim that there's defamation. But no, not at all. You can ask virtually anything in a deposition. It doesn't mean that you can introduce it at evidence in trial, as you see, but in a deposition, it's wide open. I love depositions. That's what I love about them.
Why
and of
is
course
that?
Because you're allowed, that's discovery. So you're allowed to ask someone all questions that could relate to your case. And then after that, you go and utilize the information you obtained to get additional documents and information via subpoenas, or you have your witness bring them back. They may identify documents during a deposition, and then you say, we're going to follow up after this, and you have a big list of what you said you had. Now send it to us.
Right. So, but that's a civil case. So, but depositions like that don't really work the same way in a criminal case. Is that
No, not at all.
Yeah,
because
why?
Most states don't even allow depositions. They didn't have depositions in this case. The only reason they had previous testimony, because some states have different rules for criminal law, and in this particular situation, there were no depositions apparently. Given some states, if the crime's big enough, they allow for it, but for the most part, they didn't here. They have way more freedom in the civil case with regard to discovery.
So interesting, right? At DRK243 since 1999. Love the show. You should love the show, guys. There was the walk-in to Unetti's that gave the basement fight an ATF agent detail. There was the walk-in to Unetti's that gave the basement fight an ATF agent detail. Also, the strong rumor that Brian had a cell phone intercept device. Oh, I see. He'd been using for years to get dirt on powerful people. So there was a strong rumor that Ryan Albert had a cell phone intercept device he'd been using for years to get dirt on powerful people.
Did that come from Grant? That feels like something that came from Grant.
That's funny.
Which I'm willing to go down the rabbit hole with him anytime, but
Grant that's funny. We talked about this. It's like if you kind of have enough time and you start really looking at things closely, you can create connections everywhere, right? 6 degrees. At It's All a Ruse 1999 says, my dog bit my hand when I tried to break up a fight between he and my other dog this weekend. Wow. I had to get treated and didn't want to get my dog in trouble. So I told the doctor I was in MA and got hit by a car. You didn't get it. That's hilarious.
That's funny.
Oh my God. I love that. That is freaking hilarious. Oh my God.
I've heard,
so
I don't know
much.
if it's true.
How funny
and
is that?
Could save lives, but if you lift the back legs of a dog, even if they're biting, they will let go. I've never seen if it actually works, but just if anyone wants to try that.
I don't know, but I know that from listening to the interview that Melanie Little did, that the dogs that are trained not to let go no matter what. Like even if their owners try to get them off, they're trained not to let go, which to me
I
is
saw it on
insane.
TikTok.
yeah,
I don't know.
Garrett
Where's
Wing was
Melanie,
basically
though?
like Chloe's like a police school dropout because he was like, these bite marks look like she tried, but then she couldn't do what they're like supposed to do.
Right,
Hey.
that's right. And he said that, they wouldn't have used a female most likely because they get traumatized too easily, which I thought was really interesting. At Lion Mom 3520 sends 499. I think Marty McCabe is more culpable. IMO, he did the Google search on Jen's phone as well as the initial extraction. He saw everything go down. Very possible. So this is Matt, but yes.
Yeah.
It's very possible.
He's
Very
so
possible.
goofy. That's more plausible than him.
house.
Yeah, but the one thing about Matt is like he's pretty cold. There's no, you really don't get the sense that Matt cares much about the. There's not a lot of compassion. Let me put it that way, I guess.
Yeah, he's also a little goofy, a little bit.
He's a little goofy.
Yeah.
He gives me very creepy vibes in the Aiden video at the lacrosse game when it like pans to his eyes and it's like zoomed in on his face. He scares me.
Well, how would you want your
Little bit.
husband to react if you were Jen and Turtle Boy's coming up to
Oh
him?
no, I'm not
I mean,
sure,
we're
but
killing with kindness.
What
family.
would your new fiance do, Sam?
I'm not sure. Probably you be like the block, put himself in between us physically.
Oh, I'd be running right down.
I don't think, I'm guessing if Turtle Boy, I don't think he would have done it to my boyfriend. I'm guessing he would have seen him and been like, we're not fucking with him.
Oh,
Turn
why?
around and
What?
walk
What
away.
do you got?
Why? I'm serious. Well, because he
My
looks
husband was
big
like, shake
and
his hand and
scary.
become friends.
Hold on, we're gonna get a description of Sam's
That's
fiance.
so funny.
She
Talk
said
right
he's like a Tom Brady.
No, that's looks. But Tom Brady's not I wouldn't be physically scared of Tom Brady. I mean, is he more like a linebacker body?
No, he's just jacked. I mean, he's just very, very muscular. And you would see it. People see him, and people come up to him. I mean, ladies in Costco come up to him. I mean, they're funny.
Son of
They're
a
like, "Oh, you got
bitch.
a good one there."
See, Emily, we talk about this with
Love
Peter.
that
It's so
for you.
it's
so
fucking
cute.
annoying. There's like 1% of guys that are so good looking that girls come up to them, and yeah, he sounds like one of them. Him and Peter. See, you girls have
doesn't
guys
know
hitting
it,
on you
but
all
he's-
day. It's not fair.
Wow. At this
Was he an
is
athlete?
615. Yeah, he was. Well, I mean, yeah, he's an athlete now. He was a karate black belt, and then, yeah, I mean, he's definitely athlete. Yes.
But any pro teams?
No. He was never a professional athlete, but he's always been athletic. Like he's never like smoked a cigarette in his life. Like,
Does he take
no,
steroids?
he's an athlete. No,
And he's that jacked? What gym does he go to?
I don't know. He lives in Connecticut. He's not in New York. He's not in New York.
Oh, it's a perfect relationship then. You got a hot, muscular guy that doesn't even live in the state. That's the only chance you have of having a real relationship in life. That works.
You're so funny. At this is you 615 sends $5. Heather testified that Julie invited them to come in. Where was John? What was going on in the house at that time? Well, yeah, I think that she probably did. And the reason I think that is because Julie would have literally seen John in passing. I mean, nothing would have happened before Julie walked out. So she probably did invite them in.
Not if
Does that
you
make
believe,
sense?
Emily, that John arrived at 12, what is that, 12:21 that you say, Emily? Because then you would have all that up and down flight changes. I don't believe that John did, but it's a great point. Why would you invite...
But then Julie would still have seen him, like, she's like putting her shoes on in the foyer at that moment.
Yeah, I
or
see,
whatever.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, right. So basically you're
She
saying
would
everything
pass her.
happened 4 minutes before the data indicates. Emily.
3 minutes and 1 second.
Yeah.
The offset. I only think that because of where Karen turned around in the driveway where they said, oh, whoops, we passed the street. They turned at the next house. It doesn't take you 6 minutes to turn around and drive around the corner.
Why do you say that? Because wait.
They said
Go ahead.
when John was on that second phone call, that's when after that phone call, they said, oh, we passed the street and they turned at like the next house, she said, on Cedar Crest. And like they were, they're like at the end where that little like island thingy is, and they passed it and then they turned around at the next house and then they did a U-turn or 3-point turn, went back.
Yeah.
And that takes 2 minutes. That doesn't take.
Yeah, Emily, I mean, like, it lines up. 12:18:47, John's incoming call from Jen. 12:18:47 for 36 seconds. 12:19 and 29, John opens up the Waze app. And then 12:21, there's 80 steps and 3 flights. I like, see that, when you look at it from that, it does look like that's the way it should be. Although, like, the other data doesn't indicate that.
What's the other data?
Meaning at 12:23, we haven't pinpointed exactly on a street that's a half a block away. At 12:22, and all those points that they have them
The
traveling.
Waze data.
Even more the GPS data that was utilized by both the Lexus search, not the car, and also in one of the Celebrite reports too. So there were multiple reports.
But that's the whole thing of the like what the 3 minute 1 second offset is, where
I
it's
know.
like one's using a monotonic clock, one's using the annoying other kind of clock drift clock. And
yep.
Yeah, I was told that literally is like completely irrelevant what the guy was trying to say, what Richard Green was trying to say from our expert, but I get why, and I'm not necessarily saying you're wrong, but it lines up for you the right way, meaning the time. From what I just said, it would make sense.
Well, to me,
But
I
then-
think you do them from both. I mean, just from both. You have to ascend, they're both possibilities, right?
Yeah.
You have to align both. Okay, what would it look like? How could this have played out if he shows up at 12:21? What would it look like? How could it have played out if he shows up at 12:24? And then
Right.
ride it from there. I mean, that's my view as to how I would approach it, because both are possibilities, and until we get more information, it's impossible to know which one right now is true, right?
Can I also just one more thing about that? I just feel like you also need that 3 minutes for like anything to make sense in terms of like, I know it happens quickly, but like at 12:24, if we're saying by like 12:27 the incident starts, that's just like for
Not enough
me
time.
feels too weird. It's like he's not just walking in and getting clocked.
Right.
Yeah, that was my original thought. Well, at 12:31 and 38 seconds is when the health data indicates John's phone starts to move. So, sorry, 12:31 and 56 seconds. That's where you're going to get the last movement. So it's not straight away, regardless of whether he's in at 12:21 or 12:24, because I used to think that the 12:31 and 12:31 and 56 seconds was them opening his phone with his face. I don't think that anymore. So there is movement. There's 83 feet traveled at 12:31. So either way, Emily, that would support your claim that it didn't happen straight away. It happened somewhat after.
6 minutes. I mean, that's pretty quick, though. I mean, that's pretty quick.
It's a record for me.
Pretty quick. Mackenzie 9478 sends 999.
World
Colin was
record.
the 3 younger Albert's son who was home from the Marines. Other son was never mentioned, so he wasn't dragged like Colin. Colin was the younger Albert's son who was home. Whoa. Colin was the younger Albert's son.
Was with the younger Albert's son.
Colin was with, the younger son who was home with the Marines. Other son was never. Oh, that's interesting.
Hey, who is the other son? Jack's twin, right? You never hear about him.
No, Jack's twin is a girl, right? The other son is the twin.
Oh,
right?
Emily, tell us who the Albert kids are. We know that there's Brian Albert Jr.
Yep.
Caitlin.
Yeah.
Jack.
Son in the Marines. Jack.
I thought Jack was the son in the Marine. I thought they had twins, and I thought
They do have the twins' graduation party.
yes, Jack's one of the twins. I think. Hey, they're Irish twins.
Oh my God, we have so many of these to get through. You
All right,
guys.
let's go. Good. Sorry. Go.
Okay, hold on. We are almost there. Okay. At Nancy's 4062 sends $20. Case analysis was really good. Thanks you so much, Nancy. Me oh my 61 sends $19.99. Thank you, me oh my 61.
Yeah,
Look at
thank
that
you.
beautiful little
picture.
baby. How cute. Makes me miss the old days. At Dawned on Me 2601 sends $4.99. Loophole, why would all these people lie on the stand if Higgins is to blame? Great question.
Take it away, Emily.
And on me, we've been asking him that.
I went over in my
He doesn't really give us the answer.
The last 2 video was self-preservation. They don't really know. Higgins.
They don't know what happened.
Right.
Oh, that's your theory? Is they don't know what happened?
Yeah.
Is that why you're saying?
Right.
Go ahead.
Self-preservation. Higgins and Brian Albert are the only 2 that truly know. The other ones could potentially be innocent.
They know John was in the house, whether or not they
Well, you're
saw
saying
him
that.
get
I don't
beat
agree
up.
with that.
Well, but he was. I mean, I'm just telling you what happened. Whether you agree with it or not is irrelevant.
Hey.
At Lindy Burnett 2324 sends $9.99. I've always wondered if John went to the side of the house to pee. Yes, that was my theory up until yesterday. And Chloe attacked him there, and he got aggressive with her, and Brian Albert got pissed, and a fight ensued then and there. You're shaking your head, dear.
No.
Why do you?
He didn't just arrive at a fellow police officer's house that he kind of like reveres in terms of ranking in the Boston Police, and then just go pee on his house.
That's true.
Like, John's not gonna know. That's like
that's true. I never really thought about that, but
And
that is true.
And it's freezing, and there's a bathroom inside. And
Have
there
you
was a
girls ever
bathroom
peed
at the
out
bar.
someone's house, like outside at someone's house, with not everyone watching, but have you ever done it?
Probably.
That means yes for Sam.
Probably.
Next,
I'm just
Emily?
saying, honestly. 'cause
I know
we
you. I
outside.
can read your body
Show
language.
up at somebody's house and pee
I-
in the
I didn't
yard.
ask that.
I'm not a dog.
I asked if
No,
you
but
ever
you're
peed in
saying-
someone's yard.
No.
Okay.
I'm
Well, I
thinking
mean, I
about,
have
like,
it. When
I
you
know
go,
that guys
yeah.
do that, but I don't think you just arrive at like
No,
maybe
no,
at like your buddy's house, or like if it's like a big party's going on, there's like a kegger or something.
Exactly,
You don't
a big
just
party.
arrive at
Correct.
like you're 45 years old. Like use the restroom.
In law school, my friend
I
Debbie
agree.
loved watching us pee on the side of the road. Not in any sexual way, but this was her thing. Yeah. I forgot her
That's
last
so
name,
weird. At the Helena, sends 27 SEK, whatever that is. Would love if you invited Sergio. I know we really want to invite Sergio. I was looking to try to find his contact info, so we got to figure that. I didn't look hard. I just preliminarily.
Yeah,
looked.
me too.
We
Well, I think he'll come on.
definitely do.
Do
I think he
it.
would too, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
At D Guiducci, that's a nice Italian last name, sends 1999. Yay, I can talk to you. Can't stay up on Wednesday night. Oh, 74. Oh, yay, we're so happy you get to join us, but only on paper, of course. Love you guys. Love how you tell us to subscribe. So funny, but effective. You are amazing. Still captivated by your professional insight. Well, we so much appreciate you, and thank you so much for being here and for your support.
You had a new song in your little commercial.
You like
it? It was like very Boys to Men. Like
I like the
Backstreet
R&B.
Boys.
It scares the fuck out of me that you do that, by the way, because I usually have the headphone in, and all of a sudden it's like, subscribe, motherfuckers! You know, I'm just trying to watch the show. It's a total shock.
Oh, I love it. It's hilarious. So much fun to throw it in. But I'm starting to get playing with songs. I got this new AI music app. It's so much fun. Oh my God. Okay. At Lindsay, inspired by Fervent, by the way. At Lindsay2882 sends 999. Vince, he only said when the feds started asking. It was his way to cover his ass if down the road it's found out that John, yes, right. That he can say, well, I said I saw a guy. 100%.
No, I agree with that, but I also think you can make a plausible argument that it was Colin, and when he referenced Colin with his cute story during his testimony, he said, if he walked right in here, I wouldn't recognize him. I would never recognize him. That something is a little odd with that. But yeah, I agree that that's potential too.
Absolutely. I think that could be. Absolutely. At Cynthia Marks 139 sends 499. What? Julie Nagel looks like Ryan Nagel with a wig on. Oh my God. That is so funny. I thought they were twins. I'd have to go back and like actually look much more closely. I think he looks more like Julie in that video in front of D&E than he does on the witness stand, just because he's so much like he's so well dressed and he's kind of thin, right?
Emily, you gonna let her talk about your man like that?
Yes,
it's crazy.
Not my man.
That's
Please.
so funny.
I'm going to find those text messages.
He's also like a child.
The
Aren't we calling
middle
them
brother.
kids?
What was the middle brother's name? Do you guys remember?
Sam. It was Sam.
It was
You're
Sam.
right.
Okay.
Mhm.
So Sam looks a little bit more like Julie to me, just without the glasses, because his face is like round, kind of like hers.
I did ask Corey to date Julie to try and get some information, but she refused. Supposedly, Corey and Julie are on the same team.
Okay.
Corey's a lesbian.
Julie.
Julie's. I mean, how much do I got to spell this out?
Julie, you're talking about Julie Nagel. I forgot.
Yeah.
I like lost track of who you were talking about. I was like, I can't see her as a sexual person, so I got confused. At Dakota 743 sends 499. Thank you so much. At Dakota 743. Lindsay 2882 sends 999. The text chain was a result of Gretchen Voss's doing that article. She asked them if they had anything to corroborate Colin's whereabouts, and voila, all of a sudden these BS texts.
It's a Kate Peter creation.
Really? That's
If
interesting.
that's true, Gretchen and Kate Peter are friends, so that would make sense.
Are they really?
Mhm.
Are friends now? Because of this, you're
Yeah.
saying? Friendly now.
There's like some weird rumor. I don't know.
I don't know, but that's interesting. I'd love to hear the full story on Gretchen Voss. I do not understand or know what it is.
Who is Gretchen Voss?
The Vanity Fair reporter who did an article
on Karen,
and then kind of like turned on Karen.
Exactly.
Yeah, why are you so hesitant to say? All right, so she was the author.
Well, just
of
the
that article.
details. I don't remember the details. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
This was a long time ago now. At Oso Mammy sends
I saw
199.
when
Is
she wrote
that
that made me laugh.
single? I'll make him feel better. He is absolutely not single. He's been married for a very long time, and she's like his like sidekick. Like they are, it's like frickin' frack, really together.
F Mammy's so good. She'll infiltrate anyone, especially that relationship. Trust me, I know you.
Lindsay 2882 just said the rumor. I just didn't want to say it out loud.
Oh, I'll have to look at that. I didn't see it. At Andrea Patterson 85 says 199. Emily, is Vince your personal Natalie?
With the
I don't know what
texting.
Natalie means, but if you say Natalie, meaning puts you
Like
down,
chattily?
bullies you.
What does that
No,
mean?
I don't know who Natalie is, but if Natalie's
Natalie,
a bully
like
that puts you
chattily?
down,
Like, what do you mean?
Natalie, who Tully visited in California.
Yeah. Yes.
Chattily?
Yeah.
Yes, Vince is my chattel.
Oh, that's cute. That's very cute. Okay. At Bite My Bit sends $5. I think John's phone was in the garage for 12 minutes of unstable signal because GPS signal would improve in the house with Wi-Fi, even if not connected to it. Yeah, could be.
Well, and to Sam, your theory, we're going to have to test the reliability and location for John's phone after you're claiming he goes into the house. I haven't really looked that far yet.
Right. And like I said, once they know he goes in, the question is, where does he go? I mean, I have not, all I know is he breaks the plane. That's as far as I got. That's it.
What app did you find a buffed single guy on, Sam?
Match.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Raya.
What? I don't even know what that is. At Cynthia Marks 139 sends $4.99. Is it possible that John went upstairs? I did think about that with Brian Albert and Brian Higgins, and that's the phone recording stairs. Injury happened upstairs. It's not impossible.
It's not.
It's not. I just think people think it's downstairs because, you know, it makes more sense. Like, why would they be going up into the bedrooms to hang out? But maybe there is a reason. I mean,
I'll say this, that even with the 1224 theory, there is sort of one potential chance that there could be one flight registered on John's phone legitimately. And then if it went upstairs and then down, it would only register one. That's not outside the scope of possibility.
At Sherry D. Oh my God, Sherry, you've been a member for 6 months. Please incorporate JM watch data into the analysis. Okay, yep, we have to do that. Her watch data between 12:25 and 12:35, no steps, meaning she did not walk to the window. Here's the thing, Sherry, there's only, well, go ahead. Let me just keep reading. No steps, meaning she did not walk to the window. No, she did not. She definitely did not. Yeah, so you're saying she didn't get up and sit down and get up and sit down the way that she claimed. She also claimed, by the way, that the storm door was open and there was no door, like that the front door was open. That's her testimony. That just the storm door is shut, and that on the coldest night of the year so far, the Alberts left their front door open. It's
better than the back door open.
I mean, I do feel like sometimes, like, we were at my in-laws for Thanksgiving and like we had the door like that because it gets like so hot when there's like a bunch of people in there and the heat is on and stuff. So like that wouldn't be that weird. There is the thing about if she had been at the window the way she said she would, that she said she was, she'd be fogging up the window. Like she wouldn't be able to see.
She's silly.
She is that hot. But you also have to remember her heart rate. And I know you need to get going, but yes, her heart rate always remained constant. There was no spike during any of this time. So that
I can't go ahead.
Well, like I said to you, this is not a Temptation Island dating challenge where they have the girls give guys lap dances and see if their heart rate goes up. Like she could be on medication that lowers her heart rate. Like that, I'm not going to, again, it's like that is a piece of data, but that's one that I would put to the side and say that's neither here nor there. I don't know what her heart rate looks like on a normal day. I don't know what her heart rate looks like.
We don't know if it's valid.
Yeah, like that's just a very weird thing to like hang your hat on and be like, see, she didn't know because her heart rate, like, huh?
Actually,
and
it's
they
very,
were
very
quick to let it go. Right?
Who let it go?
See, here's the thing. Somebody pointed out and sent to me a copy where, like, it's out of order. The times are out of order.
Yeah, I did see that on one of the things. I don't know if it was the heart rate, but yeah, there was an out of order thing. But let's face it, this is probably the best you're going to get in terms of data for how someone is dealing with stress at a particular time. Assuming that it's all legit. Give me a break. All right, so assuming it's legit, then yeah, there's nothing better. You could talk about indicators, but if you're talking about heart rate, that's where stress comes in. So yeah, if that's true, Jen has nothing to do with this, by the way, based upon her heart rate.
Go ahead.
No, but you, like, number one, she could be on medication. She has MS. Like she could be on a medication that like
she could
regulates her heart rate or something. We only see that snippet. Like for me to consider somebody's heart rate, I would need to look at like days and see like, oh, on a normal day, when she was at the basketball game earlier in the evening, her heart rate was at 116. So she was more excited. Like I would need something to compare it to be able to definitively say like, oh, she was not under stress in that moment.
In addition to metadata, because I just don't trust anything that they put out. At Cynthia Marks 139 sends 499, says because Chloe was upstairs too, so maybe everything occurred upstairs. Yeah, Cynthia, I think it's not impossible. Certainly. I mean, I have to do some, like I said, I didn't believe John was in the house until yesterday. So now that I believe he was in the house, I've got a lot of work to do. I have no idea what happens
They're
next.
catching up.
Yeah, dude, she loves saying that to me
time, I know,
in passive
slow.
aggressive manner. Trust me.
Well, but you want to be sure. That's all. If
But she doesn't say it
anything-
nicely.
Sorry,
To
go ahead.
me.
Well, I'll read it. Sends $10, as if Caitlin was there to pick up Colin at his cousin's house, she would have also gone inside. It's insane to think that her whole family is in the house. You're talking about Allie. If Allie was there to pick up Colin, it's ridiculous. Allie wasn't there. Allie just wasn't there. But I mean, it's okay. You're 100% right. And her parents are there. Like her parents are. It's silly. Her parents are showing up 5 minutes later. It's absurd.
They have each other's life 360. They would have seen they're in the same circle. It's so silly.
Jealous of younger, hotter girls.
So stupid. At Bridget Krause sends 7882, sends $2. They left Karen's at 4:15, got to Sallyport in 1 hour.
An hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
To
that
do a 45-minute drive, but it was a blizzard.
That
I
we
think
see, I guess.
Kevin's a reasonable person. I think he wants to see that it's physically possible to have driven from the Sallyport to the scene within the time frame.
I don't know how he doesn't know that it is, though. That's strange to me that he wouldn't know.
I think he's starting the start time as to when anyone showed up there, including the camera crews, not when the CERT team finds the first piece. So it narrows the window down. I think that's
see.
what he's saying.
Okay.
But he'll explain himself.
Yeah, we'll find out. At Jen's
If he doesn't bail
America,
like your dad
yay,
did.
became a new member.
If he doesn't let us
Welcome
down
at
like your dad
Jen's.
did.
He will come on, I think. At Michael Santolo 8006. Oh, member for 3 months. What if Chloe jumped on John in front of everyone? Brian and Nicole would be liable, drunk and not thinking clearly. Possible. I mean, for sure that is a possibility. I think that probably did happen. It's a question of what happened before that.
Yeah.
Right, I
And
mean-
would you risk it for a payment? If you're saying that you're covering all this up because you don't get sued for Chloe's actions?
That's what that case analysis video is saying, and that
Okay.
it could have happened at the fireplace bricks.
Could have happened at the
Yeah.
fireplace bricks, but it wasn't. I mean, just based on the injuries, it wasn't only because of Chloe. I think that's pretty right. I mean, that's the injuries. That's not.
Chloe's a bad dog. She did it.
I know. I love that. At South Boston, Kev
Yeah, that's my boy.
sends £2. At Vince, I love you, but you're still wrong, bro. Oh, I love him. That's
love
awesome.
South
You're
Boston,
still
Kev.
wrong, bro. With all respect, the House defendants disagree. With all due respect, the House defendants disagree. I'm not sure exactly what that was a reference to, but it's very true.
Yeah.
Do you know what he was referencing?
It don't matter. He just, in general, they disagreed with what we're saying. But now, Kev, you're the
You're wrong,
Commonwealth
bro.
witnesses.
That's right. I've been calling them both. I go back and forth. I think we got all of the super chats. Everybody,
All right.
you guys are the best. Thank you so much for your support. It means the world. It really, really does. Emily, thanks for joining us.
including me.
This is so fun. This is really, really fun.
We
I
have
love
one more
being here with
question
both
there.
of you.
Just popped up, I think.
Oh, let's see. Let me make sure. Here it is.
Yeah, like Berkowitz's son's taillight.
Right. How crazy was that video? At Judy Moore, 1678 sends $5. Perhaps there were 2 sets of taillight remnants. So you know what, Judy? That was what inspired me to just pick one at random. That was one of the 3 or 4 pieces, depending on how you count pieces, that were there at the CERT investigation. That was why I just picked one at random and then tried to follow it into the reconstruction, only to find it really wasn't in the reconstruction, which is pretty interesting, right? So, I mean, it's not impossible for sure. Absolutely not impossible. Yeah. I think, look, hopefully they're smarter than that, but are they really smarter than that? Probably not. Probably not. Right?
All right. Well, thank you, Emily C., for bailing out us
Thanks,
today
Miss
with our
Emily.
big guest.
You're the best.
Hopefully, we'll have Kevin on next week.
Yes, soon. Very, very soon. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your afternoon, the rest of your Monday. Vince, it's been a pleasure as always. Everybody, we'll see you on Wednesday night, and we'll see everybody Vince, you next Monday. Goodbye, guys. Goodbye.
It is the defense counselor's duty to protect the rights of the individual, as it is the prosecution's duty to uphold and defend the laws of the state.
I love this song.
Justice for all.
Ooh. You don't need me anymore.
Only we have a problem here.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright.